Naruto, God rewards hard work. Chapter 141. Feeling the pain on her arm, Karen felt a flash of hatred in her heart, but she didn't dare to show a malicious look, otherwise these grass ninjas would probably beat her. Their scrolls were robbed before, and they didn't dare to say anything. They handed in the scrolls and ran away, so they didn't get eliminated. Now they are even more annoyed looking at Karen. They feel that Karen is dragging them down. The more they think about it, the angrier they get. They can't help but vent their anger on Karen. After the two replenished their chakras, they started to attack Karen. It's a typical bully in his own home. Karen only learned basic chakra refining and some superficial knowledge in the grass village. She is no match for the two grass ninjas in front of her, and she doesn't dare to resist at all. After all, if she goes back and finds out that she resisted, she will be punished. Not giving her food is simply a small operation. At this time, a kunai was inserted between Karen and the two grass ninjas. Who? Come out quickly. The two grass ninjas quickly took out their kunai and stared around vigilantly. On a tree, Naruto looked at the two figures as if he was looking at a dead person. Naruto came out, followed by Sasuke and Sakura. Sakura looked at the girl in front of her. Is this girl Naruto's target? Sakura didn't know much about this. Sasuke knew a thing or two. He had told Naruto about some things in the ninja world, and that girl was called Uzumaki Karen. She was from the same clan as Naruto. After knowing some things about Naruto, Sasuke also knew that Naruto's mother was the princess of the Uzumaki clan, Uzumaki Kushina, the wife of the fourth Hokage. And Karen in front of him was exactly from the same clan as Naruto. At this time, Sasuke couldn't help showing a little envy in his eyes. Naruto had people from the same clan, and he. Thinking of this, Sasuke's pupils were inevitably a little dim. But he adjusted quickly. It's a ninja from Konoha. Several grass ninjas looked at Naruto and his forehead protectors. At this moment, they didn't know what they would face. We have run out of scrolls, please leave. The two grass ninjas looked at Uchiha Sasuke with fear. This man was the orphan of the Uchiha clan, and they had also heard about the Uchiha clan's reputation from their elders. As for Naruto, they didn't know him. Karen looked at Naruto who appeared in front of her, and a familiar feeling came to her heart. Karen felt this way because Naruto had also awakened his sage body. And Naruto called Karen's physique a natural sage body. Sasuke, control those two people. Naruto said coldly. Sasuke nodded and disappeared directly on the spot. The next moment Sasuke appeared behind the Kusanagi. When the Kusanagi noticed it, he felt a black screen in front of his eyes and fainted. Such strength surprised Karen, and then she kept retreating. Don't come over. Karen trembled a little. After all, she is now also a Kusanagi. She was afraid that Sasuke would get rid of her, even though the man in front of her was a handsome guy. At this time Naruto said, "Don't be nervous, I am here to help you, my name is Uzumaki Naruto." Swirl. Karen was a little surprised. But looking at Naruto's golden hair, she was a little bit unconvinced. Naruto seemed to see Karen's doubts. My mother is from the Uzumaki clan, but my father is not. I took my mother's last name. Naruto explained. My mother's name is Uzumaki Kushina, I wonder if you know her. Naruto said again, and Karen seemed to have a vague impression of the name, as if she had heard her mother say it. She immediately believed it. You should follow me from now on, and don't go back to that despised village. These two people are left to you to deal with. Naruto winked at Sasuke, and Sasuke threw the two men in front of Karen. Seeing the two people who usually bullied her lying on the ground like dead dogs, Karen couldn't help but feel a little happy. Naruto walked in front of Karen and lifted up her sleeves. There were teeth marks on them. Naruto couldn't help but feel angry. These two guys deserved to die. Naruto looked at the two people on the ground with disgust. Don't move. Karen looked at Naruto's movements and the ugly scars on her body, and couldn't help but retract her hand. A green light appeared on Naruto's hand. This was the palm fairy technique. The green light covered Karen's scarred arm, and soon Karen's arm became smooth again. Now you can rest assured. Naruto proved with his actions that he was not greedy for Karen's special ability. Are you a ninja from Konoha? But my mother said that all the ninjas from Konoha are bad. But you are a good person. Karen finally believed what Naruto said. After all, Naruto also has the ability to recover, and there is no need for others to covet his ability. Naruto touched his nose when he heard Karen's words. Was he given a good guy card? But Karen's words also made Naruto capture a message. Karen's mother didn't seem to believe in Konoha. As a former ally, Konoha did not support the Uzumaki clan when they were besieged, and the rest were stranded in the ninja world. Only her mother Uzumaki Kushina came to Konoha. The inside story can be imagined. Konoha's inaction made the remaining people no longer dare to believe in Konoha. Kushina has a special identity and was selected as the new Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. I am from Konoha, or you can say I am not. If you have nowhere to go, you can go to this place. Naruto took out a piece of paper and wrote an address on it. If you have nowhere to go, go here. The people here will take you in and won't use you. Your abilities can be fully developed. You don't want to live in the Kusagakur village anymore, do you? Naruto said to Karen seriously. Naruto didn't ask Karen to become a qualified helper in the future. At this moment, he was helping her as a member of the Uzumaki clan. Please, let me think about it. Karen was a little moved. What Naruto said really touched her heart. She was really tired of the life in the Kusagakur village, and her mother's death also made her hate this village, this cannibalistic village. I know you have concerns, but as a fellow tribesman, I will not hurt you. You actually have great talent, but you just don't have anyone to guide you. When you get there, someone will come to receive you. Or, I'll find you a place and pick you up in a month. By then, I'll also be leaving Konoha. Naruto said calmly. Leaving Konoha? Aren't you a ninja from Konoha? Karen suddenly raised her head and said. You don't have to worry about this. With your current ability, you should be able to barely sense whether what I said is true or not. Naruto saw clearly that Karen was almost close to the level of awakening Kagura's mind's eye. The ability of Kagura's mind's eye is more than that. It can even judge whether a person is lying by sensing their chakra. I promise you, I hope you won't lie to me. Karen suddenly made up her mind. It seemed that Naruto had no need to deceive himself. Even if he was deceived, it would only be from one hell to another. Chapter 142. Naruto looked at Karen and smiled. You will automatically withdraw from this Chunin exam. Next we will go to snatch the scroll. Although this Chunin exam is not difficult, it is still difficult for you. Sakura looked at Naruto in surprise. Listen, is this what a human being said? She looked at those ninjas who were very serious, but it was indeed easy for Naruto. It seems that there is still a big gap between her and Naruto and Sasuke. Sakura sighed in her heart. In fact, the gap between Naruto and Sakura is even greater than she imagined. Sometimes not knowing something may be a kind of happiness, otherwise the gap between the two can make people despair and even swallow people. As for these two guys, I'll leave them to you. We'll leave first. Naruto said, and left with Sasuke and Sakura. Naruto, are we just leaving like this? The surrounding trees quickly retreated, and Sakura asked curiously while running on the trees. Naruto knew Sakura's concern was that she was afraid that Karen would be in danger, but he had helped her in every way he could. As long as Karen didn't go rashly, there would be no problem with her safety. Moreover, Naruto's perception could now completely cover the entire Death Forest. It's okay, if she can't even overcome this little difficulty, then there is no need to train her. Naruto said lightly, which surprised Sakura a little. She always felt that the current Naruto seemed a little different from the previous Naruto. It seemed that he was a little more domineering. Although a little confused, Sakura still didn't ask. Suddenly, the corners of Naruto's mouth curled up while he was running. At this moment, Karen, facing the two beast-like grass ninjas, thought of her mother's death, hesitated for a while, and directly ended the lives of the two grass ninjas with kunai. Looking at the grass ninjas who had no breath, Karen seemed to be still unsatisfied. After all, killing two people so painlessly was actually too unfair to her suffering. Looking at the address on the note given by Naruto, this address was a base of the umbrella. But Karen decided to wait for Naruto for a month. Now she is completely homeless and can only rely on Naruto. Let her go to this address alone. She has a little bit nervous. Although Naruto walked far away, he still sensed the situation here with Karen, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. If Karen didn't dare to end the lives of the two Kusanagi, then the two Kusanagi would also die later. Naruto left a stream of blood and energy in their hearts. Later, it will slowly stimulate the heart, causing the heart to break and die. As for Karen, Naruto would probably not focus on training her, and at most he would do his duty as a fellow tribesman. And now, Karen has been recognized by Naruto. Next, Naruto and his friends were lucky enough to meet a group of ninjas. They were not sure which small ninja village they were from, but they were easily eliminated by Naruto and his friends. In the forest, with Naruto's many years of experience in the jungle, they lived a pretty good life. It was like camping. Even if there was a lack of seasoning, Naruto could use local materials and find some seasonings that Sakura didn't recognize. How can Naruto's cooking be so good? Sakura was a little emotional. Sasuke glanced at Sakura and explained, Naruto has lived in the jungle since he was 3 years old, so his cooking skills are naturally trained. This surprised Sakura. How could it be? Naruto glanced at Sasuke and knew that he was angry for him. Sasuke was also surprised when he knew about Naruto's situation, especially after knowing Naruto's identity as the son of the fourth Hokage. He had a certain understanding of the darkness of the village. A 3-year-old child, even for some purposes, should not be unable to guarantee Naruto's living standards. In fact, those Anbu who took care of Naruto in the dark only cared whether Naruto would die or not. As long as he didn't die, they would not care, not to mention that Naruto was troubled by the nanny when he was a child. In their eyes, Naruto is the incarnation of the 9 tails. They are afraid of the power in Naruto's body. Naruto is the culprit who killed the 4th Hokage. The power of the tailed beast is considered ominous. But the ambition in people's hearts makes them want to get the power of the tailed beast. It is precisely because of this that the life of every Chiriki is basically not very good. Except for the first generation Hokage, except for his wife Uzumaki Mito, none of the other Jinchuriki are very good. Even in the Hidden Cloud Village, which is the least averse to Jinchuriki, Killer Bee also had a miserable childhood when he was a child, not to mention the Jinchuriki of other ninja villages. At night, the sound of rustling wind echoed in the woods, and a bonfire illuminated the surroundings. This was to prevent wild beasts from attacking at night. There were some crushed plants of unknown origin next to the bonfire. This was used by Naruto to repel mosquitoes. The 3 of them fell asleep slowly, and Sakura, who was still venturing out, had fallen asleep without knowing when. In the silent night, the sound of the bonfire burning, crackling, and the wind rustling the leaves. Naruto said there was no need to keep watch, but he could do nothing about Sakura's insistence. It is common sense to stay alert outside, but Naruto thinks it is unnecessary, and he can wake up at any time. Everything around began to become silent, the sounds of insects disappeared completely, and only the sound of the bonfire burning still existed. Naruto sat up suddenly, patted Sasuke, and Sasuke woke Sakura up. What's wrong? Sakura rubbed her eyes and then realized that she had fallen asleep. Excuse me. Shish. Before Sakura finished speaking, Naruto put his finger to his mouth, signaling shushing. Sakura quickly covered her mouth and looked around vigilantly. The surroundings were so quiet and dark that it seemed to swallow people up. Here it comes. Naruto whispered, and a rustling sound was heard, getting louder and louder. A huge python jumped out of the bushes, with sharp teeth, and Naruto could clearly see the saliva on it. Naruto jumped up directly, and Sasuke took Sakura, who had not yet reacted, and jumped onto a tree, staring at the tree closely. Sasuke stared at the giant snake that suddenly appeared, wondering carefully who was behind this. "Sasuke, be careful, the person coming is not simple." Naruto knew who this person was, so he warned him. Hearing Naruto say this, Sasuke was a little surprised. Is there any extraordinary person among the candidates this time? Fire style. Great fireball technique. Several large fireballs spewed out from Sasuke's mouth, and their power was incomparable to that of the Sasuke in the original novel. The large fireballs hit the snake, causing it to feel extremely painful. The snake was knocked away by the impact of the large fireballs, and the air was filled with the smell of cooked meat. Bang! The snake turned into a puff of smoke and dissipated. This was a summoning technique. Sasuke understood it instantly and looked around vigilantly. "You are awesome, Sasuke-kun, you killed such a big snake." Sakura cheered, thinking that the enemy was killed. Such a big snake is indeed shocking for a ninja like Sakura. "Stop making noise." Sasuke glared at Sakura. Sakura was frightened by Sasuke and couldn't help feeling a little aggrieved. But before Sakura could feel sad, another big snake rushed out. Chapter 143. Your talent is not inferior to your brother. Orochimaru, dressed as a sound ninja, appeared above the snake's head. Orochimaru looked at Sasuke in front of him. You have to know that the snake just now already had the strength of a Chunin. Sasuke was able to kill him in an instant, which was enough to prove that Sasuke's strength was not weak. Orochimaru estimated that Sasuke's current strength was already at the level of a Jonin, which made Orochimaru feel very surprised. Although compared with Itachi, Sasuke now seems a little worse, but Orochimaru is confident that he can develop Sasuke's potential. Sasuke frowned. The Kusanagi in front of him seemed to be not simple. Does he know me? Don't mention that man. Sasuke instantly activated the 3 Magatama and rushed out. Fire style. Great dragon fire technique. A huge fire dragon appeared, and attacked Orochimaru with endless power, and the air around him became hot. With Sasuke's current chakra, the power of this ninjutsu was clearly visible. In Orochimaru's slightly surprised eyes, Sasuke quickly approached. They are indeed brothers. Orochimaru exclaimed, and quickly formed a seal with his hands. A wall of earth rose up and blocked Sasuke's attack. Sasuke ran quickly on the branches, constantly throwing shurikens and kunai. Orochimaru had originally underestimated these attacks, but the tiny arcs of electricity above made him understand. Lightning escape. Interesting. Sasuke's shuriken with lightning escape directly penetrated Orochimaru's earth escape. Orochimaru spat out the Kusanagi sword, and with a light flick, the shuriken was knocked away. Sasuke knew that these little tricks were useless, so he approached Orochimaru at an extremely fast speed. He fought with Orochimaru with his hands and feet. Orochimaru wanted to slowly test Sasuke's strength. As for Naruto, he has now hidden his chakra and watched the show. As for Sakura, she was frightened by Orochimaru's huge murderous aura and dared not move. She stared blankly at the fight between the two. Naruto was afraid that Sakura would be affected by the fluctuations of the fight between the two, so he jumped to Sakura's side and took Sakura away from the fighting range of the two. Ellipsis. At this time, Red Bean's figure shuttled through the woods. He already knew that Orochimaru had come to the site of the Chunin exam. Although she didn't know what Orochimaru's purpose was, she knew that she had to make a break with Orochimaru. At this moment, Orochimaru was fighting with Sasuke. Orochimaru's speed was so fast that he left an afterimage, but Sasuke's speed was not slow either. Sasuke couldn't see Orochimaru's speed clearly. He closed his eyes, and then opened them again. The 3 Magatama slowly turned in his eyes. Orochimaru's movements at this moment were seen clearly. The dynamic vision of the Sharingan made Sasuke lick his lips. Sasuke, who had the Sharingan and his own strength, was at the level of an ordinary Jonin without opening the Sharingan, but the vision of the 3 Magatama and other bonuses made Sasuke rank among the elite Jonin. Sasuke threw out a few steel wires to tie Orochimaru to the tree, and spurted flames from his mouth, instantly covering Orochimaru. Orochimaru's face was immediately burned and wrinkled. Smoke and dust rose up, and Orochimaru rushed over as if nothing had happened. Bang! Sasuke flew out directly. His feet stepped on the tree, and one hand grabbed the wrist of his left hand. The chirping sound of 1,000 birds sounded. The lightning that condensed into visible lightning made Orochimaru's face change slightly. Sasuke's strength seemed to be a little beyond his imagination. He felt that things seemed to be a little beyond his control. The mood that was originally a test also became solemn at this moment. According to his observation, Sasuke's strength now seemed to be much higher than usual. Sasuke sprinted forward in an instant, causing a large amount of dust. The Chidori pierced Orochimaru's abdomen heavily, but Sasuke did not look happy at all. Because the Orochimaru in front of him had turned into a pile of yellow soil, and the earth escaped the earth clone. At this moment, Sasuke also showed a smile at the corner of his mouth. The strength that was usually suppressed finally had a chance to be displayed. Sasuke was at full firepower at this moment, throwing out various fire escape ninjutsu, lightning escape, and even physical skills were not weak. The air was filled with a hot breath, and the surrounding trees collapsed instantly. Smoke and dust rose. Orochimaru gradually showed a surprised expression. The level just now was not even Sasuke's full strength. The two collided with each other, raising a large cloud of dust. With such a Sasuke, even Kakashi would have to use all his trump cards to defeat him. Not the Kakashi in the original work, but the Kakashi now. Kakashi, who has regained the Hatake sword technique, learned the first 3 gates of the 8 gates, and the indestructible golden body, has already had a terrifying improvement in strength. If it weren't for the lack of endurance, Kakashi might have completely stepped into the level of Kage. But there is no doubt that Kakashi has the means to hurt Kage-level strongmen. Naruto watched the movements of the two people. This movement is estimated to attract the attention of Konoha ninjas soon. However, Naruto is sure that as long as no Kage-level ninjas come, with his attainments in illusion, there will be no accidents. Orochimaru was directly shocked at this moment. Sasuke's thorough display of strength made him feel as if Sasuke had escaped his control. But according to his previous observations, shouldn't Sasuke's strength be around the level of elite Chunin? Orochimaru looked grim, a little angry. Looking at the surrounding scenes being destroyed by the two, Orochimaru knew that he couldn't drag it on any longer. He used all his murderous aura and strength, and Sasuke suddenly felt as if he was being stared at by a poisonous snake. He felt a little chill in his body, but Sasuke had already had experience in killing people, and coupled with his own powerful strength, the killing intent could not scare him. Orochimaru directly summoned 3 giant snakes, attacking Sasuke in 3 directions, and quickly formed a seal, and an earth dragon appeared. This is the Earth Escape Earth Dragon Bullet technique, controlling the Earth Escape to attack Sasuke, forming another seal, and a Wind Escape followed. Facing attacks from all directions, Sasuke took out a coin from his pocket. Come and try my trick. Lightning release, a certain scientific railgun. A flash of lightning flashed by, almost instantly, and attacked Orochimaru with a devastating breath. An elliptical lightning flashed by, and before it touched the ground, it was cut into a deep gully by the pressure from the surrounding area. There were also a few grains of sand that were turned into crystal by the high temperature. The huge earth dragon was pierced in an instant. A hole suddenly formed in the abdomen of a big snake. At this time, Orochimaru reacted, but the lightning that rushed in instantly hit Orochimaru. The speed of the super electromagnetic gun is beyond imagination. Sasuke was panting slightly. This is his most powerful trump card at present. After a short period of fighting, Sasuke already knew that Orochimaru's strength was above his. He directly used the trump card to kill Orochimaru when he underestimated the enemy. But he didn't expect this move to be so powerful. This was the most successful time he used it, but the consumption was not small. Looking at the chart and twisted Orochimaru in the distance, Sasuke flashed a trace of happiness. I'm afraid he can't die like this. The smoke and dust slowly dissipated. Orochimaru didn't move for nearly a minute, and Sasuke's heart relaxed a little. Chapter 144. Naruto looked at Orochimaru's corpse with great interest. In his perception, Orochimaru was indeed a little injured, but if Orochimaru wanted to die, it would probably be the same as the destruction of the ninja world. The surroundings were charred by Sasuke's railgun, and a long gully appeared in front of them. Sakura looked at the scene in front of her. Is this something a ninja can do? Sakura murmured. Shock was written all over her face, refreshing her understanding of ninjas. The most powerful ninja she had ever seen was Kakashi, but Kakashi didn't usually show such attack power. This made Sakura feel inferior, and a feeling of sadness surged in her heart. At this moment, Sasuke was surprised to find that Orochimaru's dead body stiffly opened his mouth, and a white figure came out of his mouth. Orochimaru's pale skin was stained with a little sticky liquid, and he looked at Sasuke with lingering fear. The move just now was an S-level ninjutsu. Power. It was simply terrifying. At the same time, he was a little angry. He was actually forced to this point by a junior. The chakra in his body surged, and the might of a cage-level strongman was revealed, and Sasuke looked embarrassed. His chakra had been used up, and he was afraid that he would not be a match for Orochimaru next, and his most powerful means could not cause much damage to Orochimaru. Sasuke looked at Naruto, as if to say, now is not the time to watch the fun. Naruto spread his hands, expressing his helplessness, and then jumped in front of Sasuke. Standing between Orochimaru and Sasuke, Orochimaru looked at Naruto in front of him, seeing Naruto's expression without any fear, and couldn't help but curiously said, "Kid, you can still be so calm after seeing my strength. I have to admire your courage." Orochimaru did not associate Naruto with the mysterious umbrella leader. After all, Naruto now is a little different from Naruto at that time. After all, Naruto now is not wearing a mask, and his clothes and even his voice are slightly different. At that time, Naruto had done a little disguise, and Naruto was just a genin from Konoha, so how could Orochimaru connect the two together? Naruto looked at the confident Orochimaru. "Oh. Are you very strong?" Orochimaru looked up, and the previous fluctuations should have been noticed by some Konoha ninjas. "It's time to leave." Orochimaru's head stretched out instantly, and he didn't look like a normal person. Orochimaru's body has been modified into a soft body, so he can use the Orochimaru-style substitution technique. Even if other people know how to use Orochimaru's substitution technique, they can't use it. Orochimaru wanted to leave after putting the curse seal on Sasuke, but he didn't expect Naruto to directly launch the wind escape ninjutsu and almost cut off Orochimaru's head. Orochimaru dodged hurriedly, retracted his head, and looked at Naruto angrily, but he ignored why Naruto's ninjutsu was so fast. "Hehe, I didn't want to attack you, but you're looking for death." Several small snakes came out of Orochimaru's hand and bit Naruto directly. Naruto's chakra fluctuations were pitifully low, equivalent to a chunin. Naruto only made a non-seal, and a huge flame spurted out of Naruto's mouth. Orochimaru's small snake instantly turned into a charcoal-grilled snake. Orochimaru was shocked to realize that Naruto didn't seem to be as simple as he looked. The speed of releasing ninjutsu and the seal were not normal. After seeing his own strength, he could still be so calm. "Little devil, who are you?" Orochimaru asked in a deep voice. "Me, you can call me Uzumaki Naruto," Naruto said with a smile, and then looked at Orochimaru. Swirl. So that's it. With Orochimaru's wisdom, he knew Naruto's identity from this sentence. There is only one person who can be called Uzumaki in Konoha, and that is Uzumaki Kushina and the orphan of the fourth Hokage, the current Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. But even so, this strength does not seem to be simple. Orochimaru tried to attack again, and Naruto easily dealt with it. Since your attack is so weak, it's my turn. Naruto chuckled. The whole person turned into a shadow, kicked Orochimaru away in an instant, and dropped Orochimaru heavily with both hands. Boom! Smoke and dust rose. The ground cracked. Orochimaru stretched out a hand, his eyes were no longer calm as before. Physical ninja. What about the previous ninjutsu? Naruto raised his hand, and a Rasengan appeared in his hand. Orochimaru looked at the familiar Rasengan, and before he could sigh, Naruto rushed over and hit Orochimaru. The feeling was wrong. Orochimaru turned into mud, and a figure appeared from the ground behind him. Orochimaru's hand turned into a poisonous snake and bit Naruto. Naruto turned several times in the air in an instant, and after dodging the attack, an invisible whirlwind appeared, and high-density chakra began to emerge in Naruto's hands. Wind Escape Rasenshuriken. Orochimaru, who missed the attack, looked at the Rasenshuriken that Naruto condensed afterwards, and his heart was frantically warned. This move is not inferior to the one used by Sasuke before. No, how could his strength be so strong? For a moment, Naruto and a figure in Orochimaru's mind overlapped. Who are you? Orochimaru's voice broke at this moment, and he was obviously very upset. Naruto looked into the distance, and the Wind Escape Rasenshuriken in his hand slowly disappeared. Don't you already have an idea? Naruto looked at Orochimaru meaningfully. It's time, someone from Konoha has arrived. Orochimaru, it's nice to see you again. But I can't give Sasuke to you, because he's mine. Naruto said, and a very strong aura began to appear on his body. Slowly, ice shadow began to appear on Naruto's eyes. Natural energy began to gather. Sage mode. How could Orochimaru not recognize Naruto's current state? But why? Naruto's sage mode didn't seem to be any of the ones he had seen before. It was nothing like the sage mode of that fool Jiraiya, nor was it the sage mode of Whetbone Forest. Where is this sage mode from? Orochimaru was instantly speechless. Naruto looked at Orochimaru and said, Sasuke can't give it to you. There is still a problem with your reincarnation. You can't use Sasuke's body forever. Give up Sasuke. Afterwards, I will give you the method to open the sage mode. You should know the power and value of the sage technique. It is definitely not inferior to the Mangekyo of the Uchiha family. Orochimaru took a deep look at Naruto, and finally said hoarsely, I hope you don't regret it. After that, Orochimaru disappeared into the depths of the jungle. Orochimaru, who turned around and left, felt very upset. The target he had been staring at for several years was suddenly told that someone was there. And Naruto's sage mode brought a deep shock to Orochimaru. That power instantly entered the sage mode. Naruto already has the power to kill him. He knew that Naruto wanted to shock him. And the reward Naruto gave was also surprising enough. The power of the sage technique is what he has been spying on, otherwise he would not have studied the power of the curse seal. After all, the curse seal is just a weakened version of the sage mode developed with the help of natural energy. The two are incomparable. Chapter 145. But what Orochimaru cares about most is Naruto's identity. Naruto is no more than 12 years old now, which is the most terrifying. The Umbrella organization has obviously existed for several years. If Naruto is really that person, then he is really a monster. Or is the fourth Hokage faking his death? Everything now is controlled by him behind the scenes. No, it's impossible. Orochimaru heard that the fourth Hokage died by performing the Shikigami sealing technique. It is impossible for him to survive after using this forbidden technique. Orochimaru, who is familiar with Konoha's forbidden techniques, naturally knows about the Shikigami sealing technique, but how could he, who cherishes his life, learn this ninjutsu? Even if he knows, he will never use it. In short, judging from the concept of Umbrella and its current development, it is very ambitious. It seems that Naruto's identity has a big secret. Orochimaru showed a somewhat interesting expression. In this world, there are still many things waiting for him to explore. It's like the ninja world as a ball. Ellipsis. Not long after Orochimaru left, Red Bean arrived here. Looking at the raging scene around her, Red Bean opened her mouth and took a breath of cold air. Looking at the three people present, she raised her eyebrows and said, "What on earth is going on?" Naruto stepped forward and said, "Before, a pale-faced man who looked like a poisonous snake attacked us, and then a white-haired ninja came out, and the two started fighting. Wow, they are so scary. Why are there such ninjas here? Are you here to protect us? How could such a dangerous guy appear in the Chunin exams?" Naruto started to talk. Naruto's acting skills came up and he instantly turned into a veteran actor. At the same time, he began to guide Red Bean's guess. White-haired ninja. One of them is Orochimaru, because Red Bean felt his breath. The white-haired ninja should be Lord Jiraiya. At this time, Red Bean suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Lord Jiraiya stopped Orochimaru, otherwise, she didn't know what the consequences would be. Although she didn't see Orochimaru, Red Bean was still relieved. She didn't know how to face Orochimaru. But looking at the scene around her, this is the power of wind escape and lightning escape. Who made that deep ravine? Is Lord Jiraiya good at lightning escape? It doesn't seem so. Without thinking too much, Red Bean felt that she had to report today's events to Lord Hokage as soon as possible. Then she gave Naruto a few instructions and left directly. "Naruto, why did you lie to her?" Sakura walked up and asked in confusion. "Sakura, don't tell anyone what happened today," Naruto said softly. Sakura was silent for a moment, as if she had just met Naruto today. She slowly said, "Okay." Naruto nodded and used illusion to give Sakura a hint, which would only last for 1 month and would not let Sakura notice anything unusual. He had to be careful, and after this month, it didn't matter if he was exposed. Because by then he might have left Konoha. "Naruto, do you know that man just now?" Sasuke asked softly. Looking at Sasuke, who was a little embarrassed, Naruto explained, "Well, he is Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas, a cage-level strongman. Konoha's S-rank rebel ninja. We had some cooperation before. You can be proud of yourself if you can hurt him. He was defeated by Itachi before, so he has set his sights on your clan's bloodline limit." After hearing this, Sasuke's eyes flickered with a dim light, and I don't know what he was thinking. It seems that I am still too weak. Finally, Sasuke thanked him. Uchiha Itachi's subordinates couldn't even beat him, so how could he talk about revenge? Don't be discouraged, you are already very strong now. In a few years, that's when a person's strength will grow rapidly. Naruto patted Sasuke on the shoulder. Sasuke nodded. He knew that there were still some things that Naruto didn't know, but he knew that Naruto would not harm him. After that, they started to head for the tower. Sakura hung her head. She had just seen the strength of Naruto and Sasuke today. She thought she could catch up with the two with her hard work, but now. A sense of sadness instantly covered Sakura's heart. "Naruto-kun, am I really that bad that I have been holding you back? I thought I could catch up with you through hard work, but..." Ellipsis quote. "No matter how hard I try, I can't catch up with such geniuses like you," Sakura said, unable to hold back her tears. The gap between her and the other two was despairing. Naruto paused, turned to look at Sakura. "Genius. Why do you use the word, genius, to erase our efforts? How do you think we got to where we are now? What were you doing when Sasuke was training day and night? We were practicing hand seals even during class time. We even skipped classes to practice in the back mountains. We still train after school. And what are you doing? Do you spend even 1/10 of the time that Sasuke and I spend training? I have been living in the jungle, practicing, and fighting wild beasts since I was 3 years old. How long have you been practicing seriously and you want to catch up with us? I don't think we are geniuses, we are just hard-working people. We have reached our current level through hard work and diligent practice. Naruto thought there was no problem. After all, hard work is also his ability. Sasuke also looked at Sakura dimly. Sakura's words undoubtedly denied his efforts over the years. How many times did he practice to exhaustion? How many times was he beaten black and blue by Naruto? And Lee, Sasuke did not think that Lee, who only knew physical skills, was a genius. He was even more mediocre than most people, but Lee's will made him feel astonished. Sakura suddenly felt ashamed. Naruto was right. Thinking of Naruto and Sasuke's previous practice, although she did not understand, she should not have wiped out the efforts of the two with just one sentence that they were geniuses. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, Sasuke-kun. Please forgive me for what I said. I will try my best. I know I can't help you now, but I am willing to try. Sakura said sincerely. Naruto's anger also disappeared. She was just an ordinary person who had never experienced pain. There was no need to use his and Sasuke's experience to demand others. Work hard, Sakura, the one you want to surpass is always yourself. Naruto said, and then he slowly ran forward. Sakura was stunned. The one you want to surpass is always yourself. Naruto didn't care about Sakura. After all, he didn't have a good impression of Sakura before. Now he found that Sakura was not that bad. Different experiences naturally led to different performances. Naruto didn't think of bringing Sakura into the organization. What Sakura could do depended on herself. He might be able to give her some advice, but there were too many girls like Sakura. Sakura looked at the two people running away. They were not fast, and they were obviously taking care of her. Inexplicably, she felt that the two of them seemed to be carrying a lot of things, and she seemed to have never really understood them. Chapter 146. Sakura followed Naruto and Sasuke. No one provoked them along the way, so they easily reached their destination. At the same time, in the Death Forest, compared to the low-key Naruto and others, Gaara took a high-profile route. Run away. This is simply a monster. A ninja from an unknown small ninja village had a face full of fear. They fled in all directions. Because Gaara's reputation is too great, some guys who think they are strong enough organized a group of people to besiege Gaara. I thought he was a hunting genius, but I didn't expect Gaara to be a demon. Gaara was not polite to these guys who offended him. You know, he used to make a living by blood. Although it is a little different from before, his decisiveness in killing has not changed. These guys who came to attack him began to fall in his hands one after another. The guys who were killed by Gaara's sand, the blood dyed the sand red, and the bodies were incomplete. And Gaara's face did not change at all, which scared the genin who came to attack him. He began to flee around, the dark woods towering into the clouds, but it could not cover Gaara's murderous intent. Gaara smiled. The game has begun. Gaara smiled. The Chunin exam was too easy for him. The attack of this group of people brought him some joy. Gaara let them escape and started chasing them. Gaara passed by a bush and immediately turned his head to look not far away. There were 3 people hiding there. Gaara, Kankuro and Temari flashed by. Gaara had already found them. 3 pairs of eyes in the bush revealed fear. The oppression brought by Gaara made them very nervous. After Gaara left, the 3 of them breathed a sigh of relief. It was Shikamaru and the other 2. Really, why do we have to take the Chunin exam at the same time as this monster? Shikamaru looked helpless. The sense of oppression on Gaara was far beyond that of a genin, or even a Chunin. Is this really a genin? Ino looked scared. The murderous aura on Gaara made her feel unusually cold. Fortunately, Gaara was not interested in them. Looking at Gaara's leaving figure, Ino looked scared. Ellipsis. Red Bean appeared in the Konoha Hokage building. The Sandai had a calm face and murmured, Orochimaru. Then the Sandai looked at Red Bean again and said, is that what Naruto said? Is Jiraiya back? The Sandai obviously believed that the white-haired ninja that Naruto mentioned was Jiraiya. It's a troubled time. Orochimaru actually returned to Konoha at this time. I don't know what his plan is. At the same time, Jiraiya also came back. The Chunin exam will invite the daimyo and nobles of the Land of Fire to watch. There must be no mistakes at this time. Jiraiya's return also relieved the third generation. After all, the third generation still recognized Jiraiya's strength. You retreat. The Sandaime waved his hand. Hongdu gestured and then walked out of the Hokage building. In the Hokage building, only the Sandaime was left smoking inside. After a while, the Sandaime waved his hand and a black shadow appeared, half kneeling on the ground, wearing a cat-faced mask. This is a member of the Anbu. The direct troops in the hands of the Sandaime. The Anbu in front of him is codenamed Owl. Shao, take a team to investigate Orochimaru's whereabouts. Remember, unless it is an emergency, do not expose yourself. The third generation warned. Yes. Shao said respectfully, and the whole person turned into a black shadow and disappeared again. At this moment, some people have begun to pass the Chunin exam one after another. Although it is different from the original, the changes are not much. Soon, it entered the battle stage. Naruto and Sasuke were standing with Ninki and Rock Lee. Ninki nodded to Naruto, and Naruto also responded implicitly. Several people walked to an open space and began to communicate. The weather today is obviously very good, with a few white clouds floating from time to time. Several people stood by the railing, and below was the venue where they were going to fight. The surrounding audience seats were full of Konoha villagers. I don't know if it was arranged, but the current battle list is the same as the original. Soon, an invigilator walked onto the stage, looked sick, and finally bit his tongue. 1,000 sticks. Naruto knew this guy. He was the childhood sweetheart of Azuki Yugao, and they were supposed to be lovers, but due to Naruto's interference, the relationship between Azuki Yugao and Gekko Hayate was completely broken. Naruto did not feel that he had done anything wrong. On the contrary, he felt that he had done the right thing. After all, how could such a beautiful woman be left to be a widow? Not only that, even Kurenai Yuhi, under Naruto's unconscious mental suggestion, began to distance herself from Asuma Sarutobi. Naruto's mental strength and attainments in illusion had already surpassed Kurenai Yuhi. This simple, harmless suggestion would not be discovered by Naruto at all. In Konoha today, although the Hyuga clan is known as the first powerful clan in Konoha, but the truly wealthy ninja clan belongs to the Sarutobi clan. Sarutobi Hiruzen has been the Hokage for so long. During that time, the Sarutobi clan naturally developed greatly. The biggest businesses in Konoha were managed by the Sarutobi clan. You must know that after the Sarutobi clan was incorporated into Konoha, its foundation was not as good as that of several major clans in Konoha, such as the Ino, Deer, and Cho clans, as well as the Hyuga and Uchiha clans. Most of the Uchiha clan's property and industries were divided up by high-level officials such as Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo. Think about the huge foundation of the Uchiha clan. How much money does Sasuke have at home? In terms of money, the third generation probably left Sasuke a few million, but this amount of money is a drop in the bucket compared to the total accumulation of the Uchiha clan. Not to mention the Uchiha family's ninjutsu scrolls and collections. As a result, in the original work, Sasuke only knew the Great Fireball technique for several years. This also indirectly restricted the development of Sasuke's strength. Sasuke was also in Naruto's under the instruction. He asked the third generation about the family's heritage, especially in terms of ninjutsu, but all he got was perfunctory answers, which made Sasuke extremely disappointed with this village. The Sasuke in the original work might be fooled, but the current Sasuke is not just a boy who only knows revenge, and his thoughts have also changed greatly. He knows how huge the wealth of the Uchiha clan is, enough to raise many ninjas, and not all ninjas will go to ninja school. Just like the Uchiha clan at the beginning, generally only a few ninjas will be sent to ninja school symbolically. Itachi and Sasuke went to school because Fugaku let the Uchiha look more like a member of the same village, but other clan members still believe that the Uchiha accepting their education is an elite education. After all, their clan is the first in illusion, and the fire escape is the best in the ninja world. No wonder the Uchiha are so arrogant, although they have the Sharingan, but which blood limit ninja is not arrogant, let alone a group of them? Naruto and the others were communicating in a low voice, and at this moment Jiraiya still followed the trajectory of the original work and returned to Konoha. Chapter 147. Jiraiya looked at the third generation in front of him with a smile. Although the third generation had some stains, the third generation was his mentor anyway. He came back at this moment because the umbrella organization had nothing to do recently, and the main thing was to continue to develop. Moreover, Jiraiya has become an ace pilot. In their base, Jiraiya's level is also top-notch. Although Jiraiya is not a talented player, he can reach a very high level after working hard. In fact, this is also a kind of talent of Jiraiya. Although some people cannot reach a very high level as soon as they come, they can still reach a level that people look up to after the baptism of time. Jiraiya now has an airplane lying in the scroll. This is given to him by the umbrella. As an ace pilot, he is naturally different from others. The storage scroll also comes from the umbrella organization. With Jiraiya's level, there is naturally no more advanced storage ring. However, the scroll upgraded and researched by the umbrella organization is more useful than ordinary scrolls, and has a larger storage space. Why did you come back recently? The Santa took the crystal ball off the table without leaving a trace. Before Jiraiya came, the Santa was observing the people's sentiments, especially in certain places, which he paid special attention to. How could such a thing be known to others? Let him bear it alone. Didn't you hear about the Chunin exam? Come back and take a look. Jiraiya found a stool and sat down with a playful smile, and began to talk about his experience in the ninja world in the past few years. The ninja world has really begun to change, and Jiraiya did not talk about the umbrella organization. Instead, he talked a lot about the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce that was circulated in the 5 major countries. The ninja world is really not peaceful now. It looks calm on the surface, but undercurrents are surging. The third generation said slowly. This 7 Colors Chamber of Commerce is not simple either. I originally thought that it was led by the Hidden Mist Village, but after investigation, I found that there are people behind the 7 Colors Chamber of Commerce. But after investigation, it is always found that the 7 Colors Chamber of Commerce is all over the ninja world, and no one knows where the real birthplace is. The third generation said seriously. The person in power of the 7 Colors Chamber of Commerce has his own way of communication, and has authorized many people. Therefore, there are many people in the ninja world who are under the guise of the 7 Colors Chamber of Commerce, and many people have escaped poverty and become rich because of this. It is difficult to investigate under the mixed crowd. It consumes too much manpower and material resources, and the gains do not outweigh the losses. The most important thing is that their family itself has its own industry, and some of them have contacted and cooperated with the 7 Colors Chamber of Commerce. In addition, although business makes money, it is still not taken seriously by the third generation. Only holding power in your hands is the most important. Fists are power. Power is also fists. In the family, only useless people will become members who specialize in doing business for the family. Jiraiya felt a little guilty inexplicably. The organization ordered not to expose the organization. Jiraiya felt in the organization long lost joy and trust. Jiraiya even believes that such an organization can bring peace to the world. Just like what was mentioned in the book Red Thought, revolution cannot succeed overnight. We may only be part of the revolutionary road, but we can provide guidance for the next like-minded person. This organization is not just empty talk, but has its own ideological guidelines and character beliefs. And it fundamentally considers the possibility of peace. Analyze from the interests of war and the productivity of the ninja world, and even from the cultural aspect. The ninja world cannot be changed all at once, and reform cannot be successful overnight. But it can always make those who have lost hope regain the light. Not everyone can understand, but there are always a few who understand that this is a feasible way. It's not easy. Jiraiya then casually interrupted the topic, "I'll go watch the Chunin exam." Jiraiya then disappeared from the window, leaving only the curtains swaying slightly. The third Hokage wanted to ask about Orochimaru, but he decided to ask next time. Who would have thought that if he didn't ask now, he would never have the chance to ask again? If he had asked, he would have discovered the loopholes in Naruto's words. Ellipsis. In the Chunin exam, Sasuke was the first to go on stage. Compared to the original story where he was affected by the curse seal, Sasuke now easily defeated the enemy. Naruto started talking to Neji. "Ninji, how are you preparing?" "It's almost done. I have already started arranging for the clan members to evacuate Konoha. A month should be no problem," Neji said seriously. "Most of the people from the branch family have already surrendered. The few who have been completely brainwashed by the main family have had their memories of contact with them erased. And some people have already accepted the mission to leave the village and plan not to come back directly. The rest plan to leave Konoha when the plan is implemented. After all, if most of the branch family members leave, it will definitely arouse suspicion. And they have to arrange for their families to evacuate. This depends on Naruto. Naruto's earth escape skills have become more and more proficient. Yamato wood release can build houses, and Naruto can naturally use earth release. He can already play earth release in many ways. Evacuate Konoha under the cover of a small barrier, not a problem. Naruto smiled with satisfaction. The Hyuga clan were perfect investigators, and they made up for their vacancies. The few people sent before were not enough for the growing organization. Soon, the 12 young warriors of Konoha came on the field one by one. To Naruto's surprise, Sakura and Ino still ended up in a tie. Sakura's strength was several times higher than in the original book, but she still ended up in a tie with Ino. However, Naruto did not care too much. Perhaps in the original book, Ino wanted to fight Sakura fairly, or perhaps she hid her strength a little. As a member of the family, Naruto was not surprised. Or maybe Ino has also started to work harder during this period. But it's none of his business. In the battle between Neji and Hinata, Naruto stared at Neji in the stands. Neji smiled bitterly. If he dared to use heavy hands, Naruto might not let him go. What's more, he would not use heavy hands on Hinata now. The battle between Hinata and Neji attracted the attention of some people. Hinata's slow boxing made some people disdainful, but then they were slapped in the face. Hinata actually fought back and forth with Neji, who was known as the genius of Hyuga. Hinata also knew that this matter was related to Hyuga's face, because Naruto sometimes talked to her about some political things. Therefore, Hinata's political sense has been much higher. After a process, Hinata automatically admitted defeat. But no one dared to underestimate Hinata. The strength shown by the two of them has surpassed that of ordinary Chunin. The following battle ended quickly, which made Naruto a little bored. Naruto also won the battle cleanly. Next, it was the finals a month later. During this period, Naruto unexpectedly met someone. Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas. Jiraiya knew Naruto's identity. This time, he planned to teach Naruto. Naruto now looks a bit like the fourth generation, less sunny and more determined. Jiraiya looked at Naruto and couldn't help thinking in his heart, Naruto must be trained to be a successor of the red thought with correct values. In Jiraiya's heart, the red thought has now surpassed the will of fire. But Naruto completely ignored Jiraiya. With his current strength, he didn't need Jiraiya to teach him at all. Although he liked Jiraiya very much and admired such a person, he still didn't want to get involved with him too much. Naruto didn't know that Jiraiya had joined the Umbrella organization. In the next few days, Jiraiya often ran into Naruto on the street. Naruto was speechless. This was pestering him. Chapter 148. Naruto looked at Jiraiya in front of him, speechless. He was planning to go to the back mountain to practice, but he didn't expect Jiraiya to be like a dog's skin plaster. Wherever he appeared, he would be there, and he also created an appearance of encountering by chance. Jiraiya touched his head embarrassedly. Although it was a bit deliberate, but it should be probably not so obvious. In the past few days, Jiraiya also inquired about Naruto's reputation. Together with Uchiha Sasuke, he is called the Twin Stars, and his strength is beyond the teachers of the ninja school. In addition, in Naruto's class, the heirs of the major families have also graduated one after another, which can be regarded as a large number of talents. Especially Hyuga Neji of the Hyuga clan, his reputation is very loud, but it's a pity that he is a branch family. How could Jiraiya not know the situation of the Hyuga clan? But fortunately, although the eldest lady of the Hyuga clan is not very outstanding, she also performs well. Jiraiya is deeply relieved that Konoha can be regarded as having successors. After the Third Ninja World War, Konoha was in a state of lack of successors, otherwise it would not have remained silent in the face of the provocation of Kumogakure. Naruto was wearing a divine robe, with golden hair and a slightly childish face, which made Jiraiya feel a little dazed, as if he saw his former disciple. This made Jiraiya even more determined to take Naruto in as his disciple. I've already said, I don't need your teaching. Naruto covered his head and looked at Jiraiya helplessly, but Jiraiya just smiled, thinking that Naruto didn't know how powerful he was. Boy, I am Jiraiya, the Toad Sage of Myoboku Mountain. Jiraiya summoned a toad that looked like a real toad. Boy, see this is summoning. You can summon powerful ninja beasts to fight alongside you. Jiraiya said confidently with his hands on his hips. In the ninja world, there are very few people who have summoned beasts, and even fewer who have strong combat capabilities. The summoned beasts of Myoboku Mountain are already considered to be rare in the ninja world with strong combat power. Naruto took a look and said, no. It's too ugly. Jiraiya was petrified. Ugly. Ugly. You said ugly. This was the first time Jiraiya saw someone dislike the ugliness of summoning. You know, to have your own summoning technique, at least surpass 99% of the people in the ninja world. Naruto, you have to know that in the ninja world, summoning beasts are a great help. How can you judge them by appearance? Jiraiya said with a straight face. Ugly is ugly. Naruto rolled his eyes. Then he walked around Jiraiya and started walking towards the back mountain. Jiraiya asked the toad to return to Myoboku Mountain, and then quickly followed Naruto. If you don't want to learn summoning, I can teach you something else. For example, ninjutsu. Jiraiya followed behind Naruto and kept nagging. He almost begged Naruto to learn ninjutsu. If those civilian ninjas saw this, I wonder what they would think. They would definitely be jealous. I don't want to. I can't learn it. Naruto refused loudly. After a while, the two came to the back mountain. Here, Naruto met Sasuke and others, as well as Kurama Yakumo. Kurama Yakumo liked the feeling of having friends. Although he didn't come here often, he would sometimes ask Shaoli for martial arts. When they saw Jiraiya behind Naruto, their eyes revealed a hint of inquiry. Don't worry about him, just practice your own way. Naruto waved his hand, the meaning was very clear. Don't worry about leaking out, he is half a trustworthy person, but don't show all of it. Several people understood it immediately. They stopped talking and started practicing on their own. Jiraiya suddenly had an idea. It seemed that there could be another way to achieve the goal of saving the country in a roundabout way. Hello, how are you, boys? I am a powerful ninja. Do you want me to teach you some cool ninjutsu? This group of people are Naruto's partners. If Naruto sees how powerful they are, there is no reason why Naruto would not be tempted. Embarrassingly, Sasuke and the others ignored Jiraiya. Sasuke was still rushing to perfect his railgun. The last time he faced Orochimaru, if he had controlled his chakra more carefully and more skillfully, he could have saved at least half of his chakra. And now he can't feel free to do whatever he wants. 10 times he launched it, there were even signs of failure twice. If this were in a battle, it would be fatal. A slight mistake can lead to 1,000 miles. Jiraiya smiled awkwardly, and then directly used a huge fire escape ninjutsu. This attracted the attention of several people. Especially Kurama Yakumo. Her eyes revealed a different color. You know, she had always hoped to become such a powerful ninja. Although she can no longer be a ninja, she is no longer sickly, and she has also met a group of friends. They are all geniuses among geniuses. You must be Master Jiraiya, one of the 3 ninjas. Neji stopped and said respectfully to Jiraiya. Yes, I am Jiraiya. Jiraiya responded. After hearing what Neji said about the 3 ninjas, Jiraiya's eyes dimmed for a moment. Master Jiraiya, I'm sure you've figured it out. I'm from the Hyuga clan, so I don't need ninjutsu. Neji continued, this is Shaoli. You should know Teacher Kai. He's a taijutsu ninja just like Teacher Kai. This is Yakumo, from the Kurama clan. He is not in good physical condition and is destined not to become a ninja. This is Uchiha Sasuke, but he has his own ninjutsu. After listening to Neji's words, Jiraiya narrowed his eyes, and then looked at Kurama Yakumo. Someone from the Kurama family. Could it be? Jiraiya naturally knew the Kurama family. The Kurama family was a family of illusion, and the family bloodline limit was an extremely powerful ability. However, there are very few people who awaken the bloodline limit, and most of them are physically weak. The girl in front of him must have awakened the family bloodline limit. And this Uchiha Sasuke in front of him is somewhat similar to Uchiha Makoto. The extermination of the Uchiha clan a few years ago shocked the ninja world. Although Jiraiya was in the ninja world, he still heard rumors. The exterminator turned out to be Uchiha Fugaku's eldest son, Uchiha Itachi. It's really sad. Jiraiya looked at Sasuke and said, young man, do you want to learn powerful ninjutsu? I know many powerful fire escape ninjutsu. Sasuke glanced at Jiraiya, then turned and walked to an open space in the distance to start warming up. Jiraiya turned to look at Naruto awkwardly and said, Naruto, let me teach you. I have a very powerful ninjutsu. After that, Jiraiya began to condense chakra in his palms, and a meatball was immediately rubbed out by Jiraiya. See, this is the A-level ninjutsu Rasengan created by the 4th Hokage, and it doesn't require any hand seals. Jiraiya looked at Naruto, and thought he would see Naruto's shocked expression, but he didn't expect Naruto to have a calm expression, and he also condensed a Rasengan. You must want to learn. Learn. How do you know how to use the Rasengan? Before Jiraiya could react, Naruto used the Rasengan. Don't waste your energy. I won't learn from you. What about this ninjutsu? You don't know how to do it, do you? Jiraiya used a ninjutsu again, and saw Naruto use it easily. I still have some. Jiraiya made hand seals again and used several ninjutsu. Just like the Sharingan, Naruto used all the ninjutsu that Jiraiya had just used. Jiraiya tried a few more, and Naruto still used them. Isn't this right? Jiraiya felt like crying but couldn't even cry. How could he teach her? Chapter 149. See, don't waste your energy. I basically know everything you know. Naruto shrugged. Jiraiya was helpless, but also surprised at Naruto's strength, especially that Naruto knew so many ninjutsu. As far as he knew, Naruto seemed to have graduated for only half a year. He couldn't help but feel relieved. Naruto is more talented than Minato. Naruto may become a great ninja. Jiraiya couldn't help but think of the prophecy from the great Toad Sage, that his disciple would bring peace to the ninja world. Naruto, you are really outstanding. Jiraiya patted Naruto on the shoulder, and then said, but in addition to these ninjutsu, I also have some other ninjutsu. Ninja technique, Jizo needle. Naturally, he also made a few seals, and then his hair began to grow wildly, and all of this hair was as hard as steel. This made Neji and others not far away stunned, as if this legendary 3 ninjas valued Naruto very much. Naruto is also a bit novel. There are thousands of types of ninjutsu, and there are many strange ninjutsu. Naruto is not very clear about Jizo Needle, but this move is still very useful, and it is good for close combat and defense. The disadvantage is that it is afraid of high temperature. Even if it is as hard as steel, it will still suffer when facing fire escape. Well, how should I put it? I don't need to teach you anymore. Look. Naruto stretched out a hand, and a ball of chakra began to appear. A sense of threat emerged from Naruto, or to be more precise, from the palm of Naruto's hand. A powerful whirlwind appeared. Jiraiya opened his mouth slightly in surprise. This was the advanced ninjutsu of the Rasengan. This was a technique that Minato had not even completed. Looking at Naruto in front of him, Jiraiya was full of shock. What a genius this was. Even Orochimaru wouldn't have so many ninjutsu at this age, right? In the next few days, Jiraiya seldom pestered Naruto, but he would still appear from time to time, wanting Naruto to be his disciple. What made Naruto laugh and cry the most was that Jiraiya didn't know where he got a book of red thoughts from, and wanted to brainwash Naruto. He said that he wanted Naruto to establish normal values. This made Naruto very speechless. But from another perspective, the red thoughts have begun to slowly change the ninja world. Even a ninja like Jiraiya has been affected. This is enough to illustrate the influence of the umbrella now. In the following time, Naruto slowly accumulated strength with the help of God's reward for hard work. Soon, a month passed, and the Chunin exam will be held on this day. In the village, on the high platform, the figure of the Fire Country daimyo has appeared, accompanied by the Minister of Guards. The white and fat figure, the clothes woven with silk and satin, and the plump posture show his corrupt life. The current situation in the ninja world is like a feudal dynasty. The rulers live a life of luxury, while those who live in poverty are even poorly clothed and hungry. The difference is that there are more groups called ninjas. Before this, Orochimaru had secretly contacted Naruto to discuss some specific matters. Orochimaru is sitting on the high platform with the third Hokage at this moment. Orochimaru's disguise is quite clever. The third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen never thought that the cage in front of him was actually his former disciple Orochimaru pretending to be. Hokage-sama, can we start the Chunin exam now? Orochimaru, disguised as the cage, asked. He couldn't help but put his plan into action. Konoha, which seemed to be thriving, had actually already decayed. The roots were rotten, and the tree was sick, but it still looked bright and beautiful on the outside, and the soul that dominated the tree hadn't noticed it yet. In that case, let's get started, said the third Hokage. The invigilator on the stage had been replaced by another person. Naruto looked at the invigilator on the stage. He knew that Gekko Hayate was dead, and died at the hands of Maki. Maki was able to become the teacher of the 3 children of the cage, so he must have strength. Soon, Naruto and the others looked at each other in silence. This time, the martial arts practitioner sent by Naruto to protect him disguised himself as a physical ninja and had already admitted defeat and withdrawn. The battle between Shaoli and Gaara was just a pretense, and Shaoli admitted defeat. Uzumaki Naruto vs. Hyuga Neji. The voice of the invigilator sounded, and Naruto and Neji walked onto the stage. In the original work, Naruto explained to Neji that fate has always been in his own hands. But in the end, only the winner has the right to speak. If Naruto loses, Neji might think that Naruto is a clown. In the end, he defeated Neji by cheating. As for the later Neji, whether he broke free from the cage of fate, or came to another cage and was willing to fate, who knows? Neji believes that fate cannot be violated, and Naruto believes that my fate is in my own hands, but the subsequent development is a bit ironic. The 6-Paths sage predicted that the boy with blue eyes, playfully calling the names of the 9-tailed beasts, would bring peace to the ninja world. Isn't this a predetermined destiny? Naruto recalled everything in the original work. Although Kagaya Otsutsuki has been resealed in the future ninja world. But the ninja world does not seem to have. There have been major changes. Naruto and Sasuke have become the new generation of Madara pillars. Power is more concentrated, and all matters in the village, big or small, need to be decided by Naruto. The rain village that Nagato asked Naruto to take care of has become dilapidated. Konoha has become a city of reinforced concrete, and on the contrary, the rain village seems to have fallen into desolation. Don't live up to the past. The 5 major countries have become the beneficiaries of the benefits, history is not remembered, and the next generation doesn't even know what happened in the Fourth World War. The truth of the war is covered up. Naruto is determined not to go down the old path again. This ninja world must be fundamentally changed. One day, this ninja world will become the flower-growing family in Naruto's heart. He wanted to go with the flow, but the cruel experience in his childhood made him feel that the world needs to change. It's worth coming to this world. Apart from that, there are threats from outer space. The future is cruel. Ellipsis. As soon as the match was announced, the 2 men moved, quickly raising a cloud of dust, and their fists collided with each other, making a crisp sound. The 2 men separated as soon as they touched each other, punching and kicking each other, countering each other's moves, and their powerful physical skills surprised everyone watching. 8 trigrams 64 palms. The veins around Neji's white eyes bulged. The huge chakra in Naruto's body was amazing. There was also a special power in his body. He was familiar with Naruto and naturally knew that this was the energy that Naruto fused with natural energy. Neji quickly slapped his palm and actually formed an afterimage. But what was even more surprising was that Naruto actually broke free from the lock of the 8 trigrams 64 palms. And he dodged Neji's attack at an extremely fast speed. In the stands, the 3rd generation was a little surprised. Being able to dodge Neji's attack like this meant that Naruto's speed was at least at the level of an elite Jonin. How is this possible? Orochimaru laughed. Sarutobi teacher, you may not be able to imagine what kind of monster this is. Chapter 150. In the stands, the level displayed by Naruto and Neji also shocked some people. Is this still a genin? Is this Konoha's genin? It's really unfathomable. There are not only some nobles from the Wind Country and the Fire Country at the Chunin exam, but also some ninjas from other countries. The level displayed by the 2 is completely different from the level of genin in their impression, and even Chunin does not have such strength. The 3rd generation didn't know what everyone was thinking, but he knew that the purpose of Konoha's muscle show this time was achieved. After all, Konoha's genin is at this level, so how powerful should other ninjas be? Orochimaru couldn't help but smile at the corners of the 3rd generation's mouth, and couldn't help but sneer in his heart. Sarutobi teacher, do you think this is Konoha's talent? That's your death warrant. Orochimaru looked at the surroundings of Konoha with a deep and wise look, as if he had seen through the essence behind the prosperity. And the roots that had already decayed. Your Excellency the 3rd Hokage, I never thought that there is such a talent in your village. He is really incomparable to me, Sand Village. Orochimaru said with emotion. The 3rd Hokage was naturally very happy about Orochimaru's flattery. What he didn't know was that Orochimaru had already sneered in his heart. Uzumaki Naruto, the son of the 4th Hokage, has been living a life of being hunted by everyone. Hyuga Neji, many years ago, Kumogakure killed his father. In fact, this matter is inseparable from the 3rd Hokage. The 3rd Hokage was afraid of war, so he forced Hyuga to hand over Hyuga Hiyashi. Neji's father, Hyuga Hazashi, took the initiative to stand up and die for Hyuga Hiyashi. This situation could have been avoided. Konoha was seriously injured at that time, and Kumogakure was no exception, but the 3rd Hokage chose to compromise. The former ninja bear is already lonely. His aging age makes him obsessed with power. This kind of power is unbearable. The feeling of controlling a huge force is so wonderful. It also changed the heart that was once brave enough to die. In the stands, Naruto made seals with both hands. With just a few seals, Naruto condensed several Earth Escape spears and shot them towards Nechi. This is Naruto's own earth escape ninjutsu. It can create large pieces of earth spikes, which is a battlefield weapon. And the level is not high, it is a unique ninjutsu for clearing out miscellaneous soldiers. Facing Naruto's attack, Nechi shot out several chakras in the air, and the earth spikes were all shattered and fell to the ground. Although Nechi knew what would happen next. But at this moment, he just wanted to have a good fight with Naruto. Stretch your strength to the fullest, under the attention of everyone. Let others see how the bird in the cage breaks free from the shackles of fate. Come on, Naruto, let me show you how hard I've worked during this period of time. Ninki laughed wantonly and wildly. This made Hyuga Hiyashi in the stands frown. It seemed that something was wrong with Ninki today. The people of the Hyuga branch hidden in the crowd also showed fanatical looks in their eyes, staring at the two of them closely. They knew what Ninki was doing. This was what they had always longed for, and it was so eye-catching. The bird in the cage finally flew again. Come on, Ninki, release yourself to your heart's content. Naruto said with a smile. Ninki needed a release, and so did he. He had been trapped in Konoha for so long, and he had been feeling very depressed. 8 kunai appeared in Naruto's hand, and they were held in his hands respectively. They shot towards Ninki with lightning, and the flashing arcs on them made the kunai more penetrating and destructive. Ninchi's face was not moved at all. The whole person spun directly, and a circle of chakra shield formed around him. And Ninki had realized what Naruto had said before. This is the secret technique of the main family, Bagwazong Keishin. Only the main family can learn this move. At this time, after being improved by Ninki, there are some curved sickle-like chakra blades on the Keishin. This is enough to make those who come into contact with the Keishin pay a bloody price. In the stands, Hyuga Hiyashi stood up suddenly, looking at Ninki in shock. He was already very shocked that Ninki could use the main family's moves. But this obviously changed Keishin as even more shocking. The chakra blades on it are like sharp blades. To achieve this level, the control of chakra obviously needs to reach a very deep level, and a mature training method is required. Although this move is still Kaden, it is a modified version of Kaden, and its power is terrifying. If you dive into a crowd on the battlefield and use Kaden, the scene is terrifying. Naruto's kunai, which is full of lightning power, hits the modified Kaden. A small piece of lightning directly lights up when it touches the blade, and then the kunai is directly cut into several pieces. Some are directly bounced away and pierce into the soil to form a pile of small pits. This scene of raging power made some nobles very excited. Then I saw Neji raised his palm and slapped Naruto a few times. This is a rare long-range move among the Hyuga clan's moves. Naruto flashed quickly, leaving a trail of afterimages on the spot. A large amount of dust was caused, and an irregular pit with a diameter of about 3 meters appeared where Naruto had stood before. A large amount of dust was caused again, covering Naruto's figure. Fire style, flame whirlpool. Suddenly a voice sounded, and a huge circle of flames suddenly burst out from the smoke. Neji's Byakugan had already caught Naruto's movements. He flipped back a few times, stood up, and quickly formed seals with his hands. Water style, water rush wave. Most of the Hyuga clan do not use ninjutsu. They believe that soft fist techniques are their destiny. Most of the Hyuga clan ninjas disdain ninjutsu. Influenced by Naruto, Neji will naturally not refuse any means to enhance his strength. The Hyuga clan is a clan that attaches great importance to rules, but now Neji has long planned to leave Konoha and Hyuga. Everything in Hyuga has nothing to do with him. In Naruto's words, that is to learn to take the essence and discard the dross. Not all the things that Hyuga has left behind are correct, such as the caged bird curse seal. For the main family, this is indeed a good thing, but for the branch family, they are like slaves of the main family. Not only are the resources allocated less, but even some of the clan's secret techniques need to be learned by the main family. Naruto's fire style was offset, and Naruto used some escape techniques again. Neji responded one by one. Naruto, come and try this trick of mine. 8 trigrams 128 palms. 8 trigrams field appeared around Neji. 8 trigrams 128 palms. This is a move that only the upper-level ninjas of Hyuga can use. Compared to this, the third generation in the stance was a little confused. Could it be that all of Naruto's ninjutsu were taught by Kakashi? Good job. Naruto was also a little excited. Let's see if you can hit me in front of me. Naruto raised his lips, and 10 shadow clones appeared and lined up in a row. Neji locked onto Naruto and used Bagwazong, which blew up Naruto's shadow clone. As Naruto's shadow clone resisted, Neji's attack power gradually weakened. Finally, he stopped in front of the 8th one. Although the more Bagwazong is used, the stronger it is too complicated after all. Chapter 151. Naruto looked at Nechi's 8 trigrams palm. Although it was extremely powerful, there were too many unnecessary moves. The Hyuga clan was good at pressing acupoints to cut off the chakra in the meridians. Most ninjas, once they had no chakra, were lambs to be slaughtered. After being pressed, the meridians throughout the body were sealed and the pain was unbearable. However, Naruto felt that this 8 trigrams palm could be completely simplified. Not only would it be more powerful and faster, it could also save a lot of chakra. However, let's talk about this with Nechi later. Seeing this scene, Nechi knew that some of the following methods might not have much impact on Naruto, and immediately raised his hand to signal. I give up. As Nechi admitted defeat, there was an uproar in the stands. They hadn't seen enough. Why did he give up? There was a lot of discussion. Not far away, Hyuga Hiyashi looked at Nechi on the stage with a frown. Although he didn't know why Nechi suddenly burst out with such power. But he still felt that Nechi was too young. Showing such power at the age of 13, it might arouse the covetousness of some people. Are you sure you want to give up? Shiranui Genma was surprised to see the fight between the two. He felt that the two men were already strong enough to match him, or even stronger than him. With his current eyesight, he couldn't tell who would win. Kakashi, who was watching Naruto not far away, was constantly thinking about something. He knew most of Naruto's strength, but he couldn't understand why Naruto, who had been hiding for so long, had revealed his strength today. Didn't he want to forbear and take back the position of Hokage? In Kakashi's opinion, Naruto had been hiding for so long, and he obviously knew his identity. And gradually approached the top leaders of Konoha and gained the trust of the third generation. Next, Naruto might not be able to become Hokage in the future. What was Naruto's purpose in doing this? Wasn't he afraid of arousing the suspicion of the third generation and Danzo? Although Kakashi knew some of Naruto's secrets, Naruto also knew that although Kakashi hated Konoha for killing his father, he still loved the village deeply. It was not so easy to get Kakashi into the umbrella organization. Kakashi was a smart man. Naruto didn't need to be won over by anyone, and it might be a good thing for Kakashi to stay in Konoha. It might be useful in the future. Guy, be careful, something might happen later. Kakashi whispered to Might Guy. He was watching his disciple's outstanding performance and heard his best friend say this seriously. He was also stunned, and then nodded heavily. Kakashi looked at the ring with a serious look. Will it really be as he imagined? Naruto, what are you going to do? On the ring, the referee announced Naruto's victory in astonishment. At this moment, the third generation was already suspicious. If Naruto showed such strength from the beginning, he would at most be surprised at Naruto's genius. After all, the last thing the ninja world lacks is genius. For example, Uchiha Itachi is a 13-year-old cage-level powerhouse. But the strength shown by Naruto now has exceeded the third generation's observations. But now is not the time to ask Naruto. Naruto walked off the ring, and Kabuto walked past Naruto. Lord Naruto. Lord Orochimaru is ready. Naruto walked to Sasuke without any hesitation and nodded to him. Sasuke also nodded to show that he understood. Naruto looked at Gaara, who was dozing not far away again, and a voice came into Gaara's mind. Gaara, when you go on stage, the plan can begin. Gaara opened his eyes and just saw Naruto's deep gaze. Gaara gestured, and the referee's voice was heard on the stage. In the original novel, due to Sasuke's temporary absence, Gaara's fight was put at the end, but it went on as usual at this moment. Sasuke also jumped onto the stage. Now Sasuke has also changed into a set of clothes that is similar to the original, with an Uchiha fan printed on the back. As Uchiha Sasuke came on the stage, the audience in the stands began to boil again. Most people came for the name of the Uchiha orphan. The Uchiha clan used to be famous throughout the ninja world, but now, there are only two people left. One has become a rebel ninja, and the other is naturally Sasuke. Orochimaru saw Kabuto in the distance and gave him a signal. Now Kabuto has pretended to be a member of the Anbu. Orochimaru couldn't help but smile. I don't know why Mr. Kazekage is laughing. Orochimaru turned to look at the Sandai and said, Konoha is full of talented people, but we in Sunagakure are not bad either. The third generation then turned his gaze to the ring. Is the boy with panda eyes on the stage the most outstanding young generation of Sand Village now? On the stage, Sasuke and Gaara looked at each other. After the referee announced the start, white feathers floated in the sky, and some ordinary people couldn't help but fall asleep when they saw it. Some ordinary people are nobles from various countries. Naruto doesn't intend to kill them, otherwise it is likely to cause pressure from the countries behind them. At that time, it may be difficult for the umbrella to develop steadily. These nobles also have families. When the time comes, go to the daimyo to make trouble, and the daimyo will go to the village to put pressure, and then don't expect peace. Feathers fluttered and fell. In an instant, a large number of sand ninjas and sound ninjas appeared in the corner. Sakura was startled and solved the illusion. Then she looked at Ino and helped Ino solve the illusion. As for Shikamaru, he also found something wrong and was pretending to be dead at the moment. Gaara directly revealed his tailed beast transformation, allowing Shukaku to start destroying. At the same time, the summoned beasts that Orochimaru had arranged long ago began to destroy everywhere in the village. What on earth is going on? The third generation stood up in shock, his face grim. Orochimaru immediately began to reveal his true form. Long time no see, Sarutobi teacher, look who I am. It's you, Orochimaru. The third generation immediately understood that this was a conspiracy of Orochimaru and Sunagakure against Konoha, and judging from Orochimaru's appearance, the Kazekage might have met with an accident. Orochimaru jumped onto the roof with Sarutobi Hiruzen. Unexpected, Sarutobi-sensei. This is the last time I call you teacher. Orochimaru's pale skin revealed a youthful look, as if time had left no trace on his face. Orochimaru, what on earth do you want to do? The third generation was shocked and angry. At this moment, the four sound ninjas have already used the barrier technique together. Ninja technique, 4 purple flame formation. They quickly formed seals with their hands, and Orochimaru and the third generation were trapped inside. Orochimaru wanted to settle the feud with the third generation alone. Naruto looked at Orochimaru not far away. The reason why Orochimaru did this was not only to avenge the third generation, but also to prove his talent. There was also a point that let the third generation die as a hero. Orochimaru, oh Orochimaru. Naruto had already seen through Orochimaru's mind. Konoha had already decayed, and it was not so easy to change it. As long as Danzo was alive, Konoha would always decay. If new roots did not grow, the tree of Konoha was destined to perish. Let Orochimaru experience the consequences of underestimating the enemy. Your teacher Sarutobi will not understand you. Chapter 152. As the plan began, the ninjas from the Sand Village and the Sound Village began to riot in various places in Konoha. Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other and began to attack Konoha's buildings directly. What Konoha had done to them before, now it was just a little interest. Naruto condensed a wind escape Rasenshuriken in his hand. Throw it directly at a building. The sudden riot made the ninjas of Konoha stunned, and then they reacted. Konoha's military quality was still good. Some captain-level ninjas began to command the combat power. Kakashi looked at the scene around him, frowned, and then looked at Orochimaru on the roof. So, this time, Naruto and Orochimaru, and even the Sand Village, joined forces to fight Konoha. Taking a deep breath, Kakashi felt that he could not ignore such a scene, at least he could not let ordinary people in Konoha get hurt. As for the third generation, Kakashi couldn't help but touch the forehead protector that blocked his eyes. The power of this eye has been discovered by him. It stands to reason that Kakashi doesn't have the blood of the Uchiha clan, so it's almost impossible for him to upgrade his Sharingan to the level of the Mangekyo. Although Obito contributed to this, Kakashi's talent cannot be denied. Over the years, the Sharingan has begun to adapt to Kakashi's bloodline. Kakashi has already mastered the power of Kamui in advance. Kakashi is confident that he can break a corner of the barrier and help the third Hokage escape, but he didn't do it. He turned around and fought with the surrounding Sand Ninja and Sound Ninja. Kakashi, I've wanted to fight you for a long time. Kabuto suddenly appeared in front of Kakashi. Kakashi looked at the bespectacled Kabuto in front of him. Isn't this the Konoha genin who gave up the exam? Is he Orochimaru's man? Kabuto also released his aura at this moment. Kakashi's face condensed. The man in front of him was not a weakling. Everyone was shocked by the sudden change, especially the Konoha 12 warriors who graduated with Naruto. How could it suddenly become like this? Sasuke, what are you doing? Sakura couldn't believe her eyes. What she saw was that Naruto and Sasuke were not attacking the invaders, but were attacking the village instead. Hyuga Hiyashi hurriedly found Hinata and protected her. Naruto glanced at her and felt relieved. The Konoha ninja who reacted looked at Naruto unkindly. Uzumaki Naruto, what are you doing? A ninja wearing a Chunin vest questioned, his eyes full of malice. Feeling the almost tangible malice, Naruto grinned and smiled. He condensed a javelin in his hand, held it in his hand, and threw it directly at the ninja. The huge impact force instantly pierced his body and nailed him to the building. His eyes were wide open, as if he would not close his eyes until he died. Can't you see what I'm doing? Naruto said sarcastically. For the first time, he felt so happy. The suppressed mood for many years was instantly released. Senran Chunin. The other ninjas were furious when they saw this scene. Fox Demon, do you want to betray Konoha? The speaker was also a Chunin, who seemed to be a friend or teammate of the ninja named Senran. Suddenly, a large number of malicious eyes looked in Naruto's direction. Naruto saw those familiar eyes again. It was these malicious eyes that were really familiar. Naruto had seen this kind of eyes many times when he was a child. It was really annoying. What do you guys know? Foolish guy. Naruto snorted coldly, and then said to Sasuke who was not far away, Sasuke, have you found Danzo? Sasuke shook his head. Although this operation did not seek to kill Danzo directly, they could still collect some interest from Danzo. It would be good for them if Danzo stayed in Konoha now. Let Danzo continue to be the rat shit. This old guy, he hasn't even shown up in this situation yet, he must be hiding in some corner feeling smug. Naruto said disdainfully. Then he used a fire escape to defeat the ninja that was attacking him. We can't hit Konoha too hard this time, but we can't let him have it easy either. We still need Konoha to attract the attention of the ninja world for us. Naruto whispered, and Sasuke nodded to show that he understood. He also knew that it was impossible to destroy Konoha now. Not to mention some of Konoha's trump cards, the tens of thousands of ninjas in Konoha were a force that could not be ignored. His current level was that of an elite Jonin, with the means to hurt a cage-level warrior. Lightning flashed in Sasuke's eyes. Lightning struck the surroundings chaotically. One by one, the ninjas of the Hyuga branch suddenly appeared from the corners of Konoha. They began to destroy the buildings around Konoha. They still had feelings for Konoha in their hearts, so most of them did not kill the people of Konoha. As for these buildings, they could do whatever they wanted. The trapped third Hokage also saw this, and a sinister look appeared on his face. Teacher Sarutobi, see, this is the Konoha you protect. It's totally vulnerable. Orochimaru was particularly happy. Orochimaru directly used the impure world reincarnation technique, and 3 coffins appeared above the house. The words, first, second, and fourth, were printed on them. The third generation understood instantly and shouted angrily, Orochimaru, you are playing with the souls of the dead. The third one must not be allowed to come out. The third Hokage had a plan in mind in a short time. The third Hokage instantly thought of Naruto. It would be bad if the fourth Hokage knew about Naruto's situation. The third Hokage felt guilty towards Minato after all. Minato entrusted Naruto to him, and he failed Minato after all. Sarutobi directly used the Vajra Rui stick transformed by Sarutobi to press directly on the coffin with the number 4 printed on it. He pressed it back directly. Orochimaru felt confused. This shouldn't be. Orochimaru felt that the coffin was easily pressed back. No matter what, 2 are enough, Orochimaru stopped thinking about it. What he didn't know was that he would never be able to summon the 4th coffin successfully. The soul of the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze is still in the belly of the god of death. Orochimaru will never be able to summon it successfully. The god of death. It's like a signal isolator. Without a signal, the summoning will fail, and Minato's impure world body will not be formed at all. It's hard to imagine how the 2nd generation established a contract with the god of death. The 3rd generation had a solemn face, and his figure was no longer as tall as before. The 3rd generation was really talented when he was young. Most of the ninjutsu can be performed easily in the hands of the 3rd generation, and even the amount of chakra is different from that of ordinary people. And now the Sand Ninja saw that Rasa had not appeared yet, and he couldn't help but show a worried look. Faced with such a chaotic scene, there was an underground base, and even Naruto didn't realize that there were a large number of sealing techniques here. Isolate perception. A large group of people gathered here. In the dark basement, a ninja suddenly stepped forward. Lord Danzo, are we really not going out? Huh. Danzo turned his head and looked at the ninja in front of him unkindly. This ninja from the root was new and had not yet been wiped out of his mind and turned into a killing machine. Humph. I am the future of Konoha, and only I can lead Konoha to glory. Danzo said coldly. Orochimaru's actions this time gave him an opportunity. Chapter 153. Yes, Lord Danzo, said the young root ninja nervously. After joining the root for a month, what he heard the most was that he must obey Lord Danzo's orders. All of Danzo's orders were meaningful. Talk less and do more. This was the most common thing he heard in the root. The older root ninjas around him couldn't help but glance at the young ninja. The grass on the grave of the last root ninja who rushed like this was a foot high. You are so brave, and you are not dead yet. It seems that Lord Danzo is in a good mood. The outside world is already in chaos. The giant snakes are rampant, but soon some ninjas organized to resist. On the outskirts of Konoha, the giant snakes left by Orochimaru have caused great damage. This area is almost full of genin and chunin. Orochimaru, who is so huge, is naturally invincible. Damn it. Stop it quickly, there is a residential area behind it. The speaker was a chunin who was a bit older, but very experienced. Rasengan. Just when everyone was at a loss, a figure fell from the sky, and with one hand, a Rasengan smashed the 2 snakes to death. It's Master Jiraiya. The older chunin knew Jiraiya and was very happy to see him. Jiraiya looked grim. This was Orochimaru's summoning beast. Orochimaru, I hope you don't do anything wrong. Jiraiya's eyes flashed with a cold light. He wanted to come back to see Naruto's performance, but he didn't expect to encounter such a thing. Orochimaru actually launched an attack on Konoha. Jiraiya solved several riots along the way and began to rush to the center. Ellipsis. The center of the battle. A large group of ninjas surrounded Naruto, full of murderous intent. They were all ninjas who had resentment towards Naruto. Even the few who didn't know of Naruto's existence were also full of resentment. Little Fox Ghost. You are indeed the incarnation of a fox demon. If it weren't for the pity of the third generation, you would have died long ago, and you wouldn't have grown to this point. This ungrateful wolf demon fox kid should have died. My father died at the hands of the nine-tailed fox. Sir, you pity him, but he doesn't know how to be grateful, and even wants to take revenge on Konoha. Damn demon fox, why don't you just die? These ninjas were quite ignorant, and those who knew Naruto's identity were solemn. After all, this is the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Inside the barrier, the third generation also noticed the situation outside, especially when he saw Naruto start to attack Konoha, and the strength Naruto showed now. Could it be that he has been forbearing, and he knows his identity? Before the third generation could think more, Orochimaru rushed up with the Kusanagi sword in his hand. The third generation hurriedly blocked it with the Ryuyi stick, and a spark collided. Teacher Sarutobi, being distracted during a battle is not a good habit. Orochimaru licked his lips and smiled grimly. Oshimaru, what do you want to do? The third generation said angrily. He regretted why he didn't kill Orochimaru. Sarutobi-sensei, didn't you see that? The wind is blowing, I'm just letting it push the windmill of Konoha that never turns. Orochimaru, you will regret this. The third generation's eyes were filled with anger. Regret? I don't regret it. So, my dear Sarutobi teacher, do you regret letting me go? In order to repay your kindness, I ask you to die. Orochimaru teased. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was already darker than it could be. This is not how you repay me. Fire style. Fire Dragon Bullet. Earth Escape Earth Dragon Bomb. Water style. Water Dragon Bullet. Quote ellipsis ellipsis quote. 5 styles. Great linking technique. The third Hokage created 4 shadow clones and performed ninjutsu at the same time. The ninjutsu formed by the fusion of different chakra attributes was extremely powerful and belonged to the S-level ninjutsu. The first and second generations of the impure world reincarnation were caught off guard and were directly knocked away. This boosted the morale of the ninjas outside. The third Hokage is indeed the strongest Hokage. He actually fought the first and second Hokage to a draw on his own. Now they already know that Orochimaru resurrected the first and second Hokage through a forbidden technique, and they obeyed his orders to fight. These short-sighted people have been brainwashed by the third Hokage. After decades of rule, the third Hokage has almost covered up the achievements of the first and second Hokage. And his reputation is growing day by day. Not only that, there is even a lot of false information. Just like the current Konoha textbooks, half of the book is about the third Hokage and his will of fire. The concept that the third Hokage is the strongest Hokage has been written into the textbooks and instilled into the next generation. Even history can be falsified. It is conceivable that the current Konoha, they don't even dare to face history. How can such a Konoha be strong? The third generation also breathed a sigh of relief. As he had seen the strength of the first and second generations, he naturally knew the strength of these two people. It seems that Orochimaru has not completely perfected the technique of impure world reincarnation. The current first and second generations are at most at the level of entering the cage level. But Orochimaru is also a cage level strongman, adding up to 3 cage level strongmen. Fine beads of sweat appeared on the head of the third generation. In the outside world, many ninjas have already criticized Naruto. Even some rescued villagers can abuse Naruto after hearing the news. Little fox demon, I already knew you were not a good person. Why don't you just die? You killed the 4th Hokage and our family. If it weren't for the 3rd Hokage, you wouldn't be alive today. Ungrateful bastard, please kill the little demon fox, ninjas. In the eyes of many people, Naruto is the incarnation of the demon fox, the reincarnation of the demon fox. In the eyes of some ninjas, Naruto was controlled by the Nine Tails and wanted to take revenge on Konoha. Shut up, you ignorant villagers. What do you know? Do you think you are the righteous ones? Every one of you makes me sick. Do you still remember how Konoha White Fang died? He has been protecting you for so long, but his mission failed because of rescuing his partner. He is a true ninja. A man who is truly worthy of respect. Why should others protect you? White Fang has completed so many missions. Let alone failure in one mission, even if he failed in 10 or 100 missions, his merits would still outweigh his faults. He killed enemies in fear, and others could choose to give up the mission when they met him. Should other villages die if they failed to complete the mission? He protects you out of kindness, not protecting you is his duty. Is there any rule that stipulates that he must protect you, a bunch of trash? Are your lives more important than his? Can hundreds of you compare to Senior White Fang? Bah, you don't deserve it. Naruto's words came out like a deafening sound. Many people still remembered the existence of White Fang. They couldn't help but lower their heads after hearing Naruto's words. At this time, an indignant voice sounded. Senior White Fang is Senior White Fang. What does he have to do with you, the little fox demon? Ah. It has nothing to do with me, right? Do you know who my father is? My father is the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze. My father sealed the nine-tailed fox in my body because he wanted me to become a hero and survive. I used my body to seal what you called the demon fox. My father, the 4th Hokage, spent his whole life protecting Konoha and his dream was to become Hokage. In the end, the ones who are protecting us are you, a group of blind, stupid villagers who cannot distinguish right from wrong. My mother Uzumaki Kushina, she also died 12 years ago. I wasn't treated like a hero. Is this how you treat the descendants of heroes? You might as well not stay in this village. Naruto said disdainfully. As soon as Naruto finished speaking, there was an uproar, and the surrounding ninjas heard Naruto's words. Shikamaru's eyes flashed, and it was true. These people looked at Naruto and also linked Naruto with the 4th Hokage. The two were actually somewhat similar. This made them unbelievable. The identity change of the Demon Fox Kid made them unable to believe the truth of the matter. The Demon Fox Kid who was abused and rejected by them turned out to be the son of their savior. Chapter 154. Ha ha ha. Don't believe the rumors about the little fox demon. I watched the little fox demon grow up. He started living in the jungle when he was 3 years old. If he's not a fox demon, what is he? At this time, a villager from Konoha stood up and accused him, with a look of confidence on his face. Whose child is so amazing? The fox demon has been different from ordinary people since he was young. Yes, I know that too. I often see this little ghost going in and out of the jungle. The little fox demon must live on wild animals. If he is not a fox demon, what is he? He must be a fox demon. He also wants to pretend to be the orphan of the 4th Hokage. What kind of identity is the 4th Hokage? A mere demon fox wants to be related to the 4th Hokage. After the words of the previous person, the people around were very emotional. If Naruto is really the child of the 4th Hokage, then wouldn't they be repaying the child of the benefactor with hatred? The strong contrast made them unwilling to believe Naruto's words at all, but instead made all kinds of excuses. At this moment, many Konoha ninjas have reacted, and Hinata Hiyashi and others looked at Naruto with an ambiguous expression. After all, there are still a few people who know Naruto's identity and are not guided by public opinion. They all believe in Naruto's identity. Especially Kakashi, he has always known Naruto's identity. It's just that due to the death of Obito and the death of Rin, now the teacher and the master's wife have died one after another, and his father died before. Kakashi can be said to be a tragedy. Such a change made Kakashi immersed in grief, and even his strength entered a slow period. Otherwise, with Kakashi's talent as a 12-year-old ninja and Kappa Lighten ninjutsu, even with the drag of the Sharingan, Kakashi would not have reached the level of Kage for so long. Thanks to Akai for not giving up on Kakashi. Kakashi can gradually get out of that tragic experience. This group of people are really hopeless, they only believe in what is good for themselves. Sasuke snorted coldly. Naruto also knew that these people said they hated the nine-tailed demon fox, but most of the people present may not have been hurt by the nine-tailed fox. Most of those killed by the nine-tailed fox were ninjas who went to help at the time and nearby residents. Most of them were just Danzo guiding public opinion to follow suit. Naruto, we need to speed up our actions. Neji said softly. With his Byakugan, he could have a bird's-eye view of the battle. At this moment, the Sand Village seemed to have discovered something. Yes, after all, no one is a fool. The war has begun, but Rasa has not appeared yet. Instead, Orochimaru appeared under the identity of Rasa. If the two of them did it on purpose, they would not have appeared yet. Naruto looked into the distance. Might Guy had freed up his hands to deal with Gaara. Without the restraint of Naruto and others, Gaara, the human weapon, must be taken up by someone. Sasuke was also looking at the Might Guy who was fighting back and forth with Gaara, this thick and bushy-eyebrowed man who looked unimpressive. Now he actually showed such power. In the original work, Might Guy was able to block Gaara's attack with one hand. Now facing the enhanced version of Gaara, Guy can also handle it with ease. Now Guy has only opened 3 doors. Come on, Sasuke, collect some interest first. This place exudes a rotten smell from inside to outside. Naruto said to the Nine Tails in the sealed space, Kuroma, lend me your power, let them experience the fear they had back then. Naruto's mouth curled up slightly, and the Nine Tails gave his power to Naruto without hesitation. A powerful chakra rose from Naruto's body. The powerful pressure made the ninja who had experienced this power tremble. Ah, he is indeed the incarnation of the demon fox. Run away. A villager who was mocking Naruto before was now frightened and fell to the ground, his eyes full of fear. Naruto's compatibility with the Nine Tails chakra is already very high, and now he can use the tailed beast ball. The huge black chakra gathering with a breath of destruction gradually formed a huge sphere. Not good. We must not let him fall. The older ninja showed fear on his face, but he had no choice but to go ahead. Hundreds of ninjas gathered together, on the houses and tall buildings, looking solemnly at Naruto's upcoming tailed beast ball. Naruto casually threw the tailed beast ball out, and hundreds of ninjas formed seals, condensing a thick earth escape sky curtain. The thick earth escape doubled its defense with the persistence of numbers. Is this how you can resist the tailed beast ball? How naive. Naruto said disdainfully. The huge tailed beast ball hit the huge defense formed by the earth escape technique, stagnating for a moment, and then cracks began to appear, spreading in all directions. Boom. Damn it. Get out of the way. A ninja shouted loudly, and the other ninjas jumped away without him reminding them, revealing the villagers behind them. No, protect me. These villagers didn't expect that these ninjas who protected them would let them suffer like this. Boom. The dozens of people who were standing just now have turned into a blood mist, and the huge semicircular pit is daunting. If Naruto just now made people hate him, then Naruto now is terrifying. The third generation in the barrier also saw the scene outside and felt heartbroken. Naruto, why are you doing this? The third Hokage had a painful expression on his face. Naruto ignored the corpses on the ground and the dilapidated buildings around him. He looked up at the third Hokage in the distance. He waved to Orochimaru in the barrier, and Orochimaru immediately stopped and looked at Naruto with interest. It was really wonderful, the story that Konoha's Jinchuriki and the village had to tell. The first and second Hokage controlled by Orochimaru also stopped, and the third Hokage also took a breath and began to recover his strength. Orochimaru didn't care about the third Hokage at all, he just wanted to see what Naruto wanted to do. Orochimaru, release the consciousness of the first and second generations. Naruto said loudly, don't these people want to know the truth? Then he will talk to them. Orochimaru controlled the talisman to float out, and the consciousness of the first and second generations also revived. Monkey, is this Konoha? Just now, Orochimaru briefly released the consciousness of the two people, and before they could react, he put their consciousness to sleep again, letting them fight on instinct. This is why the third generation was able to fight 1 against 3. It was because Orochimaru did not fight desperately, and the first and second generations were not fully strong and had no consciousness. Sir Hokage and second Hokage, I have news to tell you. Naruto said loudly, attracting the attention of the two. This kid has a familiar aura. I feel a breath similar to Mito's on him. Is he a descendant of Mito? And the breath of that fox? The first generation of Senju Hashirama said blankly, looking like a simple and honest young man. Shut up, big brother, the current situation is obviously wrong. The second generation easily caught the solemnity of the surrounding situation. This Uzumaki clan kid didn't seem to be in Konoha's. First Hokage, all of Madara's family members are dead. Second Hokage, all of your family members are dead. It's all your good disciples who did it. Naruto shouted loudly. Nani, what did you say? All the Madara family members died. This made Senju Hashirama feel more shocked than hearing that his own family was wiped out. Chapter 155. What did you say? Our family is gone. The second generation frowned, and then his perception spread to the entire Konoha. He didn't even sense any ninja from the Senju clan. Although he integrated some of the family ninjas into Konoha, he also left a considerable number of ninjas to maintain the reputation of the Senju clan and guard the foundation of the Senju clan. Now there is not a trace of the Senju clan. Could it be that even Suna Tobirama didn't dare to think about it, nor did he dare to believe that the third generation would do such a thing. As for the Uchiha clan, it seems that Monkey and his men have perfectly implemented his policies. Although he just wanted to suppress the Uchiha clan and make it impossible for them to become Hokage, as for the extermination of the Uchiha clan, he just wanted to say that it was a good job. But Monkey actually dared to touch the Senju clan, which was something he could not tolerate. Monkey, give me an explanation. The second generation looked at the third generation and questioned, his brows full of anger. Right, Monkey. Give me an explanation, why was Madara's family exterminated? The first generation of Senju Hashirama also looked at the third generation with unkind eyes. Their family was exterminated by the people of Konoha, how could he face Madara? The first Hokage, the second Hokage, don't listen to the slander of the little fox demon. This is his one-sided statement. The Uchiha clan was killed by Uchiha Itachi, and the members of your family died gloriously on the battlefield. Don't believe him. This brat is trying to pretend to be the orphan of the fourth Hokage. At this time, a slightly older ninja stood up and said, wearing a Jonin vest, obviously an ordinary Jonin. 4 generations. Senju Hashirama was a little stunned, and Senju Tobirama was also stunned, then his eyes flashed a gleam, and then he looked at the third generation Sarutobi Hiruzen. He needed an explanation. Senju Tobirama thought that there were no outstanding juniors to take over the duties of Hokage, but he didn't expect that now even the fourth generation is dead, and the third generation is the one who took over. The fourth generation. How did he die? Senju Hashirama looked puzzled. Shodai-sama, the fourth Hokage died to save us. He sealed the 9 tails and saved us. A ninja shouted. Sealing the 9-tailed fox and dying. Isn't it enough to have hands? How could he die? The first generation said stupidly. Shut up, big brother, don't talk. Senju Tobirama scolded. At this moment, Senju Hashirama was scolded by Senju Tobirama like a young wife, which made everyone feel that he was a little inconsistent with the legendary god of ninjas. This big brother, not all ninjas are him. Because for ordinary ninjas, the tailed beasts are like natural disasters. Can anyone tell me who Uchiha Itachi is? Senju Tobirama asked loudly. Second generation sir, Uchiha Itachi is the son of the head of the Uchiha clan, and it was he who killed the Uchiha clan. Someone in the crowd spoke again. Senju Tobarama's eyes condensed, and he felt disdainful of this statement. How could one person destroy the entire Uchiha clan? Moreover, it was still within Konoha. How could a member of the Uchiha clan bring up the butcher knife to the clan? This matter was inseparable from what that little brat said. As for what role the third generation and others played in it, the second generation didn't know yet, but you should never do anything to the Senju clan. Second generation, you must know that human hearts cannot stand the test. Naruto's words once again pierced his heart like a sword. You, a fox demon, are you trying to mislead the second Hokage? Are you trying to say that this matter has something to do with the third Hokage? That's simply nonsense. You know, the third Hokage is the strongest Hokage. The second Hokage looked at the person who was speaking. It was still the same person, and he was wearing the clothes of a Konoha Jonin. But what the hell is this strongest Hokage? Senju Tobarama turned his head and looked at the third Hokage. An embarrassed look flashed across the third Hokage's face, and he said, "This is all because of the favor given by the villagers. Naruto is indeed Minato's child." Who? Everyone looked around, and a sturdy middle-aged man wearing wooden clogs and with long white hair fell from the sky. It was Jiraiya. Naruto looked at Jiraiya, a little surprised. He didn't expect that Jiraiya would catch up this time. Did Butterfly respond? But it didn't matter. With his current strength, Konoha couldn't keep him. Master Jiraiya. The ninjas who knew Jiraiya couldn't believe it, because Jiraiya was the master of the fourth Hokage and had a very high prestige in Konoha. Master Jiraiya, what are you talking about? How could this little fox demon be the descendant of the fourth generation master? Jiraiya spoke up, and his credibility instantly rose to 7 points. Master Jiraiya has no need to lie. So that means they have been persecuting the son of the hero. You mean I'm lying? Jiraiya looked at the ninja who was talking with a sharp look. Although he had a good temper, he was not someone who could be shat on by anyone. No, I don't dare. The ninja shrank his neck and quickly stepped back, not daring to speak again. No way. What that little fox demon said was actually true. Then should we always? Some people dare not say anything more. Because they dare not accept the truth. Shame, disbelief, anger and all kinds of emotions envelop their hearts. The first generation standing aside was a little confused and had not yet reacted. The second generation frowned. He finally understood that the brat in front of him was the child of the fourth generation Hokage, but it seemed that he was treated unfairly, so he joined forces with the guy who controlled them to take revenge on Konoha. Monkey, where is Danzo? Senju Tobarama said in a cold voice. At this time, the third Hokage was also a little confused when he heard this. Why hasn't Danzo appeared yet? Where is his root ninja? He wouldn't want to wait for me to die so that he can take the position, right? Although I have always known that Danzo has this idea, but at this moment, I still feel a little chilled. He and Danzo have always been close friends. And Danzo has also done a lot for him. Looking at the third Hokage's appearance, Senju Tobarama also knew the ending, and snorted coldly, then Mitokado and Utane Kaharu are not here either, right? You are really my good disciple. Explain to me, where did all the people of my Senju clan go? It is impossible that there is not a single one left, right? Tobarama's eyes were sharp and could see through people's hearts. Yes, I want to know too. Monkey, tell me, my little Suna. Senju Hashirama is not a fool, and he also thought of some possibilities. Mr. Shodime, teacher, I'm sorry about your family. In order to recreate the legend of Mr. Shodime, many people have come up with the idea of researching the power of wood release to quell the war. After your death, the Third Ninja World War broke out again. The members of the Senju clan died heroically. The third generation showed a sad look. Monkey, you'd better pray that it's not what I imagined. Senju Tobarama took a deep breath. He also wanted to sacrifice his relatives for the sake of justice. Judging from the monkey's performance, there must be a lot of tricks. But now is not the time to worry about this. Konoha has obviously reached a critical moment. Chapter 156. The first generation turned around, looked at Naruto coldly, and said, "You are this year's Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Although I don't know the specific situation, as long as you return to Konoha, I can make the decision, and you can become the next generation Hokage." Tobirama's voice instantly shocked everyone present. They all looked at Senju Tobirama in disbelief, unable to believe that he would do such an incredible thing. "Teacher, you." The third generation wanted to say something, but was interrupted by Tobirama, who gave him a cold look. He hurriedly retreated and dared not say anything else. He knew that Tobirama was already dissatisfied with him. Tobirama glanced at this former student indifferently. It was simply stupid. Can't he see the situation clearly? This kid in front of him can achieve this level now, and can achieve such a level at this age, and control part of the power of the Nine Tails. Such a talent is simply a genius. With Naruto, Konoha can still be invincible for 50 years. What is a mere position of Hokage? As long as Naruto stays in Konoha and becomes Hokage, he will definitely think about Konoha. He will definitely be able to intimidate other ninja villages for Konoha. Naruto glanced at Senju Tobirama. The man in front of him was more difficult to deal with than the first generation. It's not strength, but thinking. Do you think it's possible? Not to mention that you don't know some things about me. Even if you do know, what can you do? Can the past be changed? Naruto said coldly. Naruto, don't do anything wrong. Listen to the second cage, you can still become Hokage. Jiraiya said hurriedly, becoming a Hokage is better than becoming a rebel ninja. But how could he understand what Naruto was thinking? Naruto turned around and looked at Jiraiya quietly. Don't you also know that the darkness of Konoha has begun to decay? How can it be reborn without destruction? Jiraiya's heart sank, and his steps paused instantly. He knew some things about Konoha, but he was a little disheartened, so he began to travel the ninja world in search of the child of prophecy, and did not return to Konoha for many years. The number of acquaintances in Konoha gradually decreased, and his former partners also left Konoha. Jiraiya was afraid that returning to Konoha would be reminded of the past, and he did not want to experience the intrigues of Konoha. Seeing Naruto's attitude, the second generation also knew Naruto's choice. He directly formed seals with both hands. Orochimaru was suddenly startled. He felt that he had controlled Senju Tobirama, and immediately looked at Senju Tobirama in shock. Feeling Orochimaru's gaze, Senju Tobirama said coldly, "You want to use the technique I created to control me, Junior, don't be so self-righteous." After saying that, Senju Tobirama disappeared into the barrier, and Orochimaru's heart sank. As for Senju Hashirama, he was still a little confused at the moment. After a while, Senju Tobirama rushed over from another place. Naruto narrowed his eyes. It's not like he hadn't thought about this situation. The original work revealed that as long as the seal was known, the impure world reincarnation could get rid of control. Even Madara could do it, not to mention the creator, Senju Tobirama. In the original work, Orochimaru was afraid that giving consciousness to the two might make it difficult for him to control them. Now seeing the current situation, he couldn't help but feel troubled. After regaining control of the first generation, facing the second generation, there is no other way. Let Naruto solve the trouble caused by Naruto. It just so happens that he can also see Naruto's true strength. Senju Tobirama came to the outside of the barrier through the Flying Thunder God seal that was once left in Konoha. Sasuke looked at Naruto with a little worry. After all, he is the name of the cage tree. The second generation is the master of the third generation after all. Although Naruto's strength has always been unfathomable, the person on the opposite side is not simple either. The surrounding sand ninjas seem to be increasingly powerless to resist, and even the sound ninjas are the same. Naruto knows that although the battle on the home ground was caught off guard, Konoha's foundation is indeed unmatched by other ninja villages. Ninki, arrange for the branch family to retreat. Naruto said coldly. Yes. Ninji knew he couldn't help, so he turned and left. Since you want to stop me, then come and try it. Naruto used the Nine-Tails' perception of good and evil to directly lock onto some of the people who had the deepest malice towards him. If he didn't kill these people, what would he keep them for? New Year's greetings. Lightning release. 1,000 needles. Needles formed by lightning began to spread in all directions. Some ordinary people had their hearts pierced directly and died instantly. Ninjas below the elite Chunin could not stop Naruto's attacks, even if Naruto's attacks were numerous. Senju Tobirama used Flying Thunder God to save some people and looked at Naruto coldly. The rest were scared. Run away, the nine-tailed demon fox has started a killing spree. There were also a few villagers, but Naruto let them go. Some were saved by Konoha ninjas. Little brat, are you looking for death? The second generation's eyes were slightly angry. Jiraiya, who saw this scene, sighed and stood in Naruto's place. He still couldn't watch these ninjas and civilians being slaughtered by Naruto. Naruto closed his eyes, and after a second, he suddenly opened his eyes, and a line of eyeshadow appeared on Naruto's eyes. An extremely strong aura emerged from Naruto. It made the Konoha ninjas present feel a sense of pressure. Hyuga Hiyashi looked at Uzumaki Naruto, who seemed like a demon god, and then glanced at his own daughter. He heard that Uzumaki Naruto had a good relationship with Hinata. He had never cared before, just wanting to let it go. This time, no matter who wins or loses between him and Konoha, Hyuga will be hit hard. The former friends looked at the powerful Naruto in disbelief. Is this still a human? Sage mode. Jiraiya lost his voice, his face full of shock, while Orochimaru was enthusiastic, because Naruto said that he also had a chance to get his hands on this power. Senju Tobirama looked solemn. Naruto looked at him with disdain as he threw dozens of kunai in his hand. Not to mention that Senju Tobirama was not in his prime, he would not be afraid even if he was in his prime. But Tobirama's state also has its advantages, such as unlimited chakra and immortality. The second generation suddenly appeared on Naruto's side, and high-pressure water jets rose from around Naruto, which could easily cut steel. Senjutsu Rasengan. In the state of Sage mode, Naruto has the blessing of Sage Arts every time he uses a move. The power is far beyond ordinary ninjutsu. The oncoming high-pressure water column was completely destroyed. The second generation appeared around Naruto again, and Naruto suddenly felt his vision darken and was slightly startled. The powerful mental power unfolded, and his vision was restored again, and the second generation was close, and the kunai was about to cut his neck. Although with his current martial arts strength, Tobirama would never be able to break his body. Naruto knew that he might have just been hit by the second generation's illusion, the dark walk technique. I didn't expect that the Jinchuriki who could almost be called immune to illusions could still be hit by illusions. Even if the time was very short, the power of this move could be seen. This should be the illusion developed by Senju Tobirama to deal with the Uchiha clan's Sharingan. No wonder it could affect him. Senju Tobirama was also surprised. He thought that even with the Nine Tails, it would affect Naruto for a long time, but he didn't expect that his illusion would be broken in such a short time. You must know that the Dark Walk technique is a forbidden illusion. Chapter 157. Senjutsu, Big Ball Rasengan. An enhanced version of the Rasengan appeared directly in Naruto's hand, and it hit Tobirama Senju directly. Most of Tobirama Senju's body was destroyed instantly. The people around him were distressed, but soon, everyone was surprised to find that the second generation's body recovered just like paper. Intact, immortal. The second generation, who had experienced death once, paid more attention to Naruto. He directly distanced himself. Ninjas around, leave this area. After the instructions, all kinds of water-style ninjutsu were thrown at Naruto. With the help of his body reborn from the impure world reincarnation, he didn't care about chakra at all. Anyway, the surrounding buildings have been almost destroyed by Naruto, so this one doesn't matter. Naruto looked at Tobirama Senju's actions and couldn't help but muttered, "Is this the so-called sea-style ninja, the one who claims to have signed a contract with the sea? Your water escape is pretty good, why don't you become a Mizukage?" Naruto said loudly. The faces of the people present condensed, and they obviously thought of the meaning behind Naruto's words. There was nothing wrong with what Naruto said. If the people of Kurigakure were here, they would probably be pissed off by Naruto. Kurigakure, the land of water, was known as the ancestor of playing with water, but was actually surpassed by the second Hokage in water escape. If Mai Terumi was here, she would probably also ask who is the Mizukage. Looking at the overwhelming water escape that covered the surroundings, Naruto also smiled. Who is afraid of who when it comes to chakra? Earth escape, earth flow wall. A huge earth wall rose up. This was the ninjutsu used by everyone during the Ninja World War in the original work. Naruto's single-handed performance was no less powerful than the earth escape at that time. Earth style, yellow mud swamp. Naruto formed a seal again, and the earth style mixed with water directly turned into mud to form a big hand and grab the second generation. The second generation's eyes flashed. The kid in front of him had a high understanding of ninjutsu and could directly use his ninjutsu to counter in battle. Open black lens bracket chakra control +2, ninjutsu thinking +3, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket sage mode proficiency +1. Naruto raised his lips and said, "Everyone, get out of the way." He wants to improve his proficiency. Normally, there is no such good opportunity. Immortal Technique, Rasenshuriken Technique. Naruto condensed the Immortal Technique version of Rasenshuriken Technique in his hand. The powerful energy was like an invisible pressure pressing on everyone's heart. Senju Tobirama's eyes shrank. He had only felt this terrifying feeling in two people. That was his elder brother Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. A sense of powerlessness rose from his heart. Facing such an enemy, what could he use to fight? Naruto flew out directly. Looking at the Rasenshuriken getting closer and closer, Tobirama used Flying Thunder God to fly away. The Rasenshuriken landed on a house in the distance, and a pit dozens of meters deep appeared in an instant. A violent explosion unfolded, and the airwaves continued to hit everyone's faces, a little hot. Naruto felt that he seemed to have gone a little too far, using an anti-aircraft gun to hit a mosquito. Open black lens bracket Immortal Technique Rasenshuriken proficiency +2. Close black lens bracket. This power is like a god on earth. It makes people despair. Orochimaru looked at this power and showed a fanatical look again. This power is hard to compare even to the Mangekyo. Senju Tobirama looked grim. He looked at the people around him and said, "Don't stay around. This is no longer something you can participate in." Looking at the battlefield that was scattered and left only two people, Jiraiya also jumped onto the high platform in the distance. Asking himself, Jiraiya did not want to attack Minato's child. He saw a light from this child that he had never seen before. The second generation Hokage Senju Tobirama had a flat face, and it was impossible to tell what he was thinking. Naruto smiled slightly. Just this calm demeanor is not something that ordinary people can have. Multiplying detonating talisman. With a deep sigh, Senju Tobirama no longer cared about the surrounding buildings. Anyway, it was almost done, so this time he would do it cleanly. Bang, 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 boom, 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 boom. Huge smoke rose up, and the sparks of the explosion flew everywhere. The surroundings were wet, and could not withstand the violent explosion waves. The air was slightly humid because of the water escape just now, but now it has become extremely dry. Explosions exploded one after another, and the surroundings were instantly shrouded in smoke. What came into view was endless explosion light waves, and the explosion lasted for several minutes. This made some ninjas very happy, and at the same time they couldn't help but move their feet and retreat a little behind them. This time, the little ghost is afraid that there is no body left. After a few minutes, the explosion gradually stopped, the smoke slowly dissipated, and the bumpy ground. The huge groove sank a little, and inside it were small potholes. The slightly red soil was now charred black. The second generation's body was slowly recovering. Although the Guardian detonating talisman is said to have unlimited use, the principle is to achieve continuous explosion through unlimited spiritual communication with a detonating talisman. Although it is said to be unlimited, it is actually related to one's own chakra. Although the chakra of the impure world reincarnation is unlimited, this chakra is similar to a state of continuous transmission and continuous supply. Just like when a container is reduced, it begins to replenish. However, the mutual multiplication of the detonating talisman extracts the chakra in the container at the moment of extraction, and the chakra replenished later cannot connect to the chakra of the user, which is why the mutual multiplication of the detonating talisman will stop. I think the original setting is a bit unreasonable. I supplemented it myself, which is considered a restriction. But even so, it is quite amazing. Such an explosion is enough to make Conan and Kakuzu cry. It is not inferior to the detonating talisman array used by Conan in the original work. Even because it is more encrypted because of the targeted explosion of the set, the power is even greater. The smoke and dust dissipated, and Tobarama's body recovered. When he saw the scene clearly, his pupils suddenly shrank, and an expression of disbelief appeared on his face. Because there was a small bulge in front of him. Naruto's chakra aura emanated from it. The small bulge dissipated, and Naruto's figure was revealed, and his face also showed a surprised expression. Naruto was really a little surprised. He really underestimated this move. This move could actually exert unimaginable power across levels. He not only used multiple earth flow walls, substitution techniques, but also barrier techniques. At the same time, he split several shadow clones to perform ninjutsu. In fact, he could use his body to resist, but if he did so, he would probably get hurt. No, he will definitely get hurt. After all, the Ten Tails was injured by this move in the original work. He used hundreds of ninjutsu, and finally barely survived this explosion. Senju Tobarama is worthy of being a master of forbidden techniques. Naruto really looked at Senju Tobarama with a new eye this time. This time the harvest is also quite big. Open black lens bracket shadow clone proficiency plus 4-5, earth escape mastery plus 1-5, substitute technique simplification plus 5, barrier technique proficiency plus 2-0. Close black lens bracket. Sure enough, the higher the difficulty, the easier it is to increase the attribute. Seeing Naruto's figure, the other ninjas were immediately unbelievable. Only a few ninjas breathed a sigh of relief, such as Jiraiya and Kakashi. Sasuke and others also withdrew from the range of the two people's fight. Sasuke knew what the top ninja's battle was. Not only the technique of Senju Tobarama, but also his grasp of timing and rich combat experience. Chapter 158. Naruto looked at the smoke-filled Konoha. There were no Konoha branch people around, and Neji had already evacuated. He looked at the defeated Sand Village and Sound Ninja. Naruto felt that it was time. In the distance, Might Guy opened the 5 gates and was faintly suppressing Gaara, who had transformed into a tailed beast. And it seemed that Might Guy did not have the heart to fight to the death. Under the influence of Naruto's butterfly effect, Might Guy's strength has also improved a lot, thanks to Kakashi's encouragement and sparring. And he expanded some of Naruto's shortcomings in physical skills. Gaara did not expect that this ugly ninja with thick eyebrows in front of him actually had such a strong strength, and he could break Shukaku's power to control the sand with just physical skills. This ninja in front of him was just a little thing in Shukaku's eyes, but every attack was so powerful that he could break the sand controlled by it with just a punch and a kick. The sand flew in the air and fell to the ground with a rustling sound. Might Guy turned into a shadow, which caused great trouble to him. This kind of enemy is difficult to catch and extremely powerful. It is painful to hit him. Not only Shukaku is very troubled, but even Gaara is very afraid of it. The sand that he claims to be absolutely defensive can't defend against Might Guy's speed. Fortunately, Shukaku is now almost of the same mind as him, and he can fight Might Guy back and forth. Naruto looked up at Orochimaru on the roof and said, "Orochimaru, now is not the time to waste time, let's fight quickly." Orochimaru naturally knew that he didn't expect to defeat the huge Konoha with just the Sound Ninja and the Sand Ninja. The three tribes of Ino, Shikaku and Cho, the Hyuga clan, and the ninja clan headed by the third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen are enough to stop this invasion, not to mention most of the civilian ninjas. The Sand Village has begun to give up resistance sporadically, and Maki has begun to organize. Maki's strength is also at the level of Quasi-Kage, slightly higher than the level of Elite Jonin. Orochimaru began to control the first generation to attack the third generation, and Orochimaru also looked for an opportunity to attack. Orochimaru, who made the first generation use all his strength, soon realized the power of the legendary first generation's wood release. Wood release. The world of trees is coming. Giant and sturdy trees came out from the roof one after another, smoke and dust rose up, tiles and stones flew. One by one, they smashed towards the third generation, who looked grim. He used the monkey demon to resist and used ninjutsu to eliminate the attacks on himself. Soon, the trees spread over the entire roof. The thick trees looked particularly spectacular, far more than what the castrated version of Yamato's wood release could compare to. Yamato's wood release was used for infrastructure construction, while the first generation's wood release conquered the world. The surrounding ninjas couldn't help but feel a little nervous for the third generation. Such power was unimaginable for some ordinary ninjas. Even if the first generation was now an ordinary cage-level powerhouse, with his wood release, he was also a relatively powerful existence among the cage level. It's a pity that the first generation didn't have consciousness. It is difficult to show his extraordinary fighting talent. He once suppressed Madara to fight the first Hokage Senju Hashirama. His own fighting consciousness is also the top existence in the entire Naruto world. Barely resisting this move, the third generation looked ugly, and the Monkey King in his hand instantly became longer and thicker, and smashed heavily on the first generation. The first generation's body was instantly smashed to pieces, and in an instant it returned to its original state. The immortal body is really a bug. Orochimaru stabbed the third generation with a sword, and the Rui stick transformed by the Monkey King stretched out a hand and grabbed Orochimaru's Kusanagi sword. The Monkey King has a body of diamond, and possesses the magical powers of large and small Rui, and the ability to change locally. In the game with Orochimaru, the Monkey King played an indispensable role. Teacher Sarutobi, you are old, so just die as a hero. Orochimaru smiled evilly, and the Kusanagi sword in his hand collided with the Rui stick, sparks flew. The third generation felt a sharp pain in the palm of his hand, and his hand trembled slightly. After all, he was old. Orochimaru, I really regret not killing you back then. The third generation showed a look of regret in his eyes. In his opinion, Naruto was very likely provoked by Orochimaru. Kai. Orochimaru suddenly found that there were several detonating tags on his abdomen. He turned over and retreated, picked up the detonating tags and threw them aside. Boom. 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 A violent explosion sounded, and the bright light of the explosion swallowed Orochimaru. The smoke and dust dissipated, and Orochimaru was unharmed. The first generation rushed up in a daze, clapped his hands. Wood release. Flower tree world is coming. The thick trees sprang up like giant pythons, instantly covering the entire space, and colorful flowers bloomed. Not good. This flower has a neurotoxin. The third Hokage is well informed, not to mention the first Hokage's ninjutsu. This move records that the flower tree world will release a paralyzing neurotoxin when it descends. Wind style. Thousand faces of wind. Fire style. Great dragon fire technique. The third generation quickly formed a seal, first blowing away the pollen near him, and then using fire style to burn the fragrance and pollen. Orochimaru created 4 clones, surrounded the 3rd generation, and 4 flames submerged the 3rd generation, causing billowing flames and endless dust. The smoke and dust slowly dissipated, and a pile of earth walls blocked the 3rd generation. Orochimaru took the opportunity to use the Kusanagi sword to stab the 3rd generation again. The 3rd generation did not dodge, and the Kusanagi sword directly pierced into the 3rd generation's body. Orochimaru was startled, and then he saw the 3rd generation's calm face and resolute eyes, and a chill rose from Orochimaru's heart. Orochimaru, I won't let you escape this time. The 3rd generation formed seals with his hands and slowly uttered, Shiki Fujin. Hearing the 3rd generation's whisper, Orochimaru's pupils suddenly shrank, and a strange wave emerged. A figure that only the 2 of them could see appeared, like an evil ghost. Is this the god of death? Orochimaru looked up suddenly, and a sense of fear rose in his heart. The 3rd generation wanted to pull out Orochimaru's soul. There is great terror between life and death. Orochimaru's strong desire to survive directly made him burst out with great strength, and the Kusanagi sword that was originally inserted into the 3rd generation's body was suddenly pulled out. The 3rd generation snorted, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, letting the blooming smile. Orochimaru, since I can't take you away, then take away what you value most. The 3rd generation had a last burst of energy and suddenly raised his voice. He directly pulled out Orochimaru's hands. Naruto looked in the direction of Orochimaru and the 3rd generation, and felt a dark energy appear. It seemed like an illusion. Naruto closed his eyes again, and the natural energy surged and gathered in his eyes. When he opened his eyes again, it seemed that there was golden light in his eyes. The appearance of the god of death appeared in Naruto's eyes, revealing a dark aura, like a demon, like a kind of energy aggregate. Just when Naruto looked at the god of death seemed to look at Naruto inadvertently. Did he see me? Naruto's heart was palpitating. Where did the god of death come from? From the Pure Land. No, it shouldn't be. The Pure Land should be created by the Six Paths Sage. Could it be that the god of death is a product similar to the evil god? Chapter 159. Although the god of death gave Naruto a palpitating feeling, according to Naruto's observation, the god of death was not so powerful. He seemed to follow some rules. Naruto looked at the 3rd generation, and the 3rd generation pulled out Orochimaru's soul hand, wanting to cut off Orochimaru's hand directly. The god of death also made the same move, and then Naruto saw the god of death brought out the soul of the 3rd generation. He swallowed Orochimaru's hands into his stomach. Although the god of death gave Naruto a palpitating feeling, he did not feel dead. He felt that the god of death was not much higher than him. To use an exact level, the level of the god of death is about the high level of the super shadow. Maybe the god of death is also a creature. Orochimaru wailed, and beads of sweat appeared on his head. His hands drooped naturally and had lost color, as if he had lost his life. The 3rd generation fell down with a trace of satisfaction. Naruto couldn't help but smile. This is courting death. He wanted Sarutobi Hiruzen to die in the name of a hero, but he lost his hands. This punishment made Orochimaru miserable. The sudden change shocked everyone. How did the situation change so quickly? No one saw the existence of the Grim Reaper. Only the 2nd generation knew what was going on. The 3rd generation should have used the Shiki Fujin. The Shiki Fujin was a ninjutsu he developed by accident, and he also borrowed the ghost mask of the Uzumaki clan. After the Grim Reaper devoured part of the souls of the 3rd generation and Orochimaru, he disappeared. The 4 Otonin hurriedly revoked the barrier technique. Orochimaru's safety was more important than anything else. Kabuto jumped onto the roof and helped Orochimaru. Lord Orochimaru, are you okay? Kabuto said worriedly, his face full of anxiety. It's okay, take me away. Orochimaru said very weakly. Although reincarnation will also affect the soul, it is not even 1% of this time. Don't look at it as just Orochimaru's hands. In fact, the soul power has directly lost 1/10. The origin has been hurt. Kabuto took Orochimaru and retreated quickly under the cover of the 4 sound ninjas. The people of Konoha did not chase, and were still suppressing the rioting Konoha. This group of sound ninjas had become abandoned. It must be said that Orochimaru is really good, and these people are willing to die for Orochimaru. At this time, some ninjas of Konoha also knew that the 3rd generation Hokage used forbidden techniques to want to die with Orochimaru, but judging from the current situation, the 3rd generation paid the price of his life, and Orochimaru was seriously injured. On the other side, Gaara gradually reduced the power of his attack, and was finally knocked down by Might Guy. Sand Ninja gradually calmed down. At this time, they also knew that they were calculated by Orochimaru. Lord Kazekage may have encountered an accident. Sasuke, wait for me outside the village. Take Lee and the others away. Naruto warned, and then directly condensed 10 shadow clones. Sasuke nodded, turned and left. Sakura looked at Sasuke and shouted anxiously, Sasuke, don't. Sasuke looked sideways, and then left without stopping, without any pause. Kurama Yakumo did not fight this time. Her combat power has not yet been truly formed, and there is no need to expose too much. At this time, Jiraiya appeared in front of Naruto and said painfully, Naruto, are you really going to betray Konoha? Naruto glanced at Jiraiya. This might be one of the few people in Konoha village who cares about him. But how could Naruto stay? It's not that I betrayed Konoha. It's that Konoha doesn't welcome me at all. Naruto said coldly, then turned and left. When leaving, Naruto glanced at Hinata inconspicuously, and a voice immediately came to Hinata's mind. Hinata, I will come back, wait for me. Hinata's tears rolled out instantly, and she looked sadly in the direction where Naruto left. Hyuga Hiyashi patted Hinata's shoulder and shook his head. There was also a ninja who just wanted to chase Uzumaki Naruto, but was stopped by the 2nd generation. Let him go. The 2nd generation knew that chasing him now would just be suicide. He had fought with Naruto and knew Naruto's strength deeply. Ellipsis. Inside a base. Report to Danzo. The 3rd Hokage has died in battle. A root ninja who was sent out to investigate came back to report. Upon hearing the news of the 3rd Hokage's death, Danzo was stunned, and an inexplicable feeling surged in his heart. It was hard to tell whether it was sadness or excitement. But it came and went quickly, and the obsession of the Hokage quickly suppressed the sadness in his heart. And the root ninja hesitated. If you have anything else to say, please tell me now. Danzo said excitedly. Master Danzo, the 2nd generation is calling you over. The root ninja spoke again. 2nd generation, teacher. Danzo frowned. The root ninja recounted what happened, and after learning that it was Orochimaru's masterpiece, he also understood a little. Impure world reincarnation. Danzo looked grim, and had a bad feeling in his heart. The root base had a sealing technique and a barrier technique. There was a lot of noise outside, and although Danzo noticed it, after it reached the root base, the noise was much smaller because of the seal. Danzo walked out of the root base with a grim look on his face. Ellipsis. A few days had passed since the Konoha collapse plan had completely fermented. Less than a day after Naruto and others left, the news of Konoha had spread throughout the ninja world. At this moment, a document was placed on the table of the leaders of the major ninja villages. The 3rd generation Hokage of Konoha died in battle. Konoha Ninetales Jinchuriki became a rebel ninja, and at the same time, the orphan of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Sasuke, also became a rebel ninja. Hyuga Neji, the son of the head of the Hyuga branch family. And the ninja Kurama Yakumo of the Kurama family, and a less famous ninja Rock Lee. Not only that, Hyuga Neji also brought out a considerable number of branch family ninjas. For a time, the ninja world was in an uproar. At the same time, it was reported that Orochimaru used forbidden techniques to resurrect the 1st and 2nd generation Hokage. The 2nd generation Hokage broke free from control and returned to Konoha. Even the Akatsuki organization received the news. Humph, Konoha really suffered a big loss. In the Akatsuki organization, everyone was gloating, only Uchiha Itachi's eyes flickered, and I don't know what he was thinking. The Land of Water. The Hidden Mist Village was the last of the 5 major ninja villages to get the news. After hearing about what happened to Konoha this time, it couldn't believe it. Then a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The previous Hidden Mist Village was the bottom of the 5 major countries. Although it has developed a lot now, it can only barely surpass the Sand Village. At this moment, Konoha's strength is damaged. With the rise and fall of one, the strength of the Hidden Mist Village has increased, right? At the umbrella base, Shisui looked at the information coming in excitedly. Naruto finally got out of the cage. The young eagle will eventually fly, and the umbrella organization will become stronger under Naruto's leadership. Most of the development of the organization over the years has been concentrated on him, which can be said to be a huge pressure. Now he feels that he can finally relax a little. Regarding the news that the 3rd generation died in battle, it's really a bargain for him. Shisui knew that no matter what the 3rd generation had done, he would die as a hero now. Chapter 160. At this moment, the ninja world suddenly became turbulent. The incident in Konoha also made other ninja villages begin to be vigilant. Unexpectedly, Orochimaru alone raised the defense of other ninja villages by several levels, and the daily patrols increased a lot. Ellipsis. Konoha Village. In the Hokage's office, Konoha had just finished holding a funeral, and Danzo and others were called into the office by the 2nd Hokage. At this moment, the 2nd Hokage had a gloomy face and looked at several people with a bad face. The current Konoha, the so-called high level, are all his good disciples. There are not even some ninjas from other families. The power and politics are made clear to his good disciples. Grab all the power in your hands. The duration of the impure world reincarnation can only last for 3 months at most, that is to say, once the 3 months are up, the 2nd Hokage Senju Tobarama will return to the Pure Land. Senju Tobarama plans to use this time to clean up Konoha and reselect the Hokage. Senju Tobarama looked at Danzo with a gloomy face. Danzo, I heard that you have a root, right? Root. What a big name. Do you want to rebel? Senju Tobarama also learned some of the situation through a brief understanding, especially Danzo. His disciple seemed unwilling to create the root, which is equivalent to the Anbu. You must know that the Anbu is the direct subordinate of the Hokage. Danzo did this, undoubtedly pulling himself to a position similar to the Hokage. The 2nd generation doesn't have much time, but no one knows except Orochimaru and others. Tobarama plans to investigate the affairs of the Senju family. It is worth mentioning that when Tobarama learned about Suna's news, his angry heart calmed down a little. Teacher, I dare not. Danzo lowered his head with a sincere attitude. Tobarama eased a little, changed his tone, and said, Next, let's discuss who will take over the position of Hokage. The faces of several people present changed, and they also knew that this was necessary. After all, a country cannot be without a king for a day, and the same is true for Konoha. They must choose a Hokage to calm the people's hearts. Danzo's eyes flashed with a strange look, his lips slightly opened, but in the end he did not say it, lowered his head, and a look of resentment flashed in his eyes. If Tobarama Senju was not present now, he would have recommended himself. He thought his chance had come, but the 2nd generation has now become a mountain on his shoulders. I think Jiraiya is also good. He has good strength and qualifications. He is also Sarutobi's apprentice and the 4th generation's teacher. There is no problem in any way. Mito Kato En said, he and Udatane Kaharu didn't think they could sit in the position of Hokage. They just wanted to continue to be the elders. Yes, I think Jiraiya is good too. Udatane Kaharu agreed. Danzo felt a little angry. Even if he didn't say anything, these 2 guys didn't even mention him. He was the most suitable person for the position of Hokage. Jiraiya, is that the white-haired young man from before? The 2nd generation murmured, his eyes flashing with a trace of thought. The image of Jiraiya gradually appeared in his mind. He was tall, powerful, and righteous. He was a good candidate for the title of Hokage. He could convince the public. Well, let him come to discuss the matter. Tobirama summoned an Anbu and asked him to inform Jiraiya. Jiraiya has not left Konoha yet. After all, he has to mourn the death of his master. Soon, Jiraiya came to the Hokage building. Ellipsis. What? You want me to be the Hokage? No, how can I be Hokage? Jiraiya didn't want to be Hokage at all. Being Hokage would bring him a lot of trivial matters, and it would affect his collection of materials. Wouldn't it be good to learn red thoughts? Or is flying a plane not enough? Why do I have to suffer the pain of being Hokage? Jiraiya, you know the current situation. Konoha can't be without Hokage for a day, and you are the only one with enough experience at the moment. Mito Kato-en said solemnly, if Jiraiya is promoted to the position of Hokage, he should accept his favor. This is Mito Kato-en's truest thought in his heart, which is to try his best to maintain his position. Jiraiya smiled bitterly. What, you don't want to? Senju Tobirama frowned, but his heart also eased a little, and his evaluation of Jiraiya also increased by 2 points. He didn't even want to be Hokage, so he must not be a person who is greedy for power. Second generation master, I really can't do it. In terms of qualifications, I have someone I can recommend. Jiraiya said with a wry smile. Hearing Jiraiya's words, several people were stunned, and Danzo was jealous. Jiraiya had the position of Hokage that he missed every day, and he actually refused it. You mean, Tsunade? Mitomen-en and Utane Kaharu said in unison, obviously thinking of the person Jiraiya mentioned. That's right, Tsunade is more qualified than me, she is the most suitable person. Jiraiya said with a serious look on his face. Little Tsunade. Tobirama was stunned for a moment, and then the image of Tsunade appeared in his mind, a little loli with a golden ponytail, and he didn't know what she looked like now. But Tsunade is not in the village now. Mitomen-en was helpless. There are people who don't want to be Hokage. Didn't you see that someone's face has turned pale? Jiraiya smiled awkwardly. The position of Hokage was not good for him. He was not like Minato, who had a dream of becoming a Hokage. He should be a great writer. This is his job. Speaking of which, he has been a little slack recently and hasn't gone out to collect materials for a long time. Jiraiya came back to his senses and said, since it was my proposal, leave this matter to me. Jiraiya patted his chest. He also wanted to take this opportunity to go out and investigate the news about Naruto. By the way, collect some materials and update his works. After all, he, the immortal of Myoboku Mountain, also needs to make a living. How can he live without royalties? Jiraiya said this, and no one present said anything else. Senju Tobirama did not object. After all, his granddaughter could still handle the position of Hokage. With the title of Senju, he is naturally the most suitable candidate. Okay, for now, I will be the Hokage while Tsunade is not back. It should be okay for Jiraiya to bring Tsunade back in a month, right? Tobirama patted Jiraiya on the shoulder and said. No problem, leave it to me. Jiraiya agreed immediately. Tobirama didn't notice at this moment that Danzo's face kept changing. He didn't know what he was thinking, and his eyes flashed with resentment. He didn't dare to show his killing intention, otherwise he would definitely be noticed by Senju Tobirama. Jiraiya left the Hokage's office, and a look of difficulty flashed across his face. He had also heard a little about Tsunade walking in the ninja world. She should have appeared frequently in the short street before, but there has been less news in the past 2 years. Go out and look for her, in a month's time. As for the position of Hokage, Jiraiya is a great writer, how could he be Hokage? Naruto didn't know the news about Konoha yet. At this moment, Naruto had quietly appeared in the Neiman Hall of the Uzumaki clan, where there was a death mask.